Lake effect.
Hello and welcome to the Saladcast. On Sunday, the 7th of October 2018, I'm your host Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Significantly less news.
And Robert Kemp.
It is indeed me.
My job is just to announce how much news there is before the start of the podcast, apparently.
That's what you have to say in that little gap when I say your name.
You have like a couple of words to foretell what will be in this podcast.
It's the tiny gap.
Well, the part that is different from any other from each time, rather than the part where we talk about games forever, which is the part that's always the same.
There will be games.
It's either the amount of news or the amount of weather that usually goes there.
We're into autumn, though, so now it's back to neutral weather.
Yeah.
Not extreme in any case.
I wasn't prepared for that this week. I'm glad you went to Zach first. I mean, you have been for the last ever.
Yeah, you have been.
I always
every
go
time.
for Zach first. Yeah, I don't think I ever switched that one up, do I? Maybe. Just to throw you.
But you used to occasionally, but
I can't because you're on your way back from Mexico. So
that was the couple of times it did happen was on purpose to screw up Rob's Mexican trip.
And I normally have just enough time to sit down after you're like, hello, it's blah 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 blah, and it's you're listening to that.
Words.
Yeah.
And then Zeg, when you do a Tardcast or whatever, when it's just you two, which isn't very often, you usually start with Hello Internet, which I thought was original, but of course it's not. There's a whole podcast called Hello Internet.
Yeah,
no,
I didn't actually steal
popular.
it from that. I didn't know about that podcast before I started doing that. But it's not exactly an unusual thing that other people have said hundreds of times before as well.
I mean,
as the intro to anything.
Like people who just go, hello tubes, or hello YouTube. I used to listen to follow a channel where the guy would like say, I think he was trying to say hello YouTubes or hi YouTubes, except he'd say it so fast it would just be hi tubes or hello tubes.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what you do, don't you? You start off saying a perfectly normal thing, and then you keep gradually increasing the whatever part of it you made weird the first time. You just focus in on it, and then that becomes your thing.
YouTube.
It's like when Big Issue becomes Shoe. Or like London Evening Standard becomes Stand.
Oh, I haven't heard that one. Stand.
That's what you get in London, because that's the London paper, I guess.
Stand.
And they're trying to get rid of it for free as well.
Is anyone trying to push Metro or something and they just go, true?
True. No one seems to push the Metro. That seems to just exist, like all over the Tube network, like by magic. Like whereas the London Evening Standard, people are actually handing it out. Just a bit weird. Not quite sure why.
True.
The trope.
Free Metro.
Yep. So that's how our intro has evolved, i.e. it hasn't, and it's remained the same for 5 years. Possibly longer.
I mean, how long do you think we've been doing this podcast, Dan? Because I'm pretty sure you've been doing it since day one.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
How long do you think we've... legitimately, how long... Without looking, how long do you think we've been doing this podcast, given you just said 5 years?
Oh, I don't know. It's longer than that, is it?
Oh, far longer.
Well, what season are we in?
It's not 10 years, though, is it?
No, it's not 10.
No.
We're not in season 10 yet.
So it's in between, then.
Yeah, we are on season 9. So
Right, okay.
We're only on about season 6 of Outbreak, though.
Oh, yeah, we're miles behind on
Naturally.
that. Because partially out of can't be arsedness, and partially because there's quite a lot of test material, and it takes time.
But so my intro is based on the defunct PC Gamer podcast from 10 years ago.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Stolen.
Not really. It's just
Revived. Let's go with revived.
Yeah.
Sounds less plagiarized.
Indeed.
Hello. We should what was that stupid Flash News or thing you used to watch, like Skank
Suck My
News?
News.
What was it called? Suck My News, yeah.
That was horrible. Yeah.
It's special.
I do sometimes use that phrase from that thing. What even was that thing? There was like a giant website that was all Flash that was super, Flash. But it was also...
Yeah, and they had a few things like that, didn't they? Like, it wasn't just Suck My News, there were a few other...
No, they had games as well. They had one where you had to guess the boobs, right? Whose boobs?
Oh, whose boobs? Not my boobs. They're yours boobs. Whose boobs?
Yeah. It was quite good.
Was it I mean, was it just part of Newground or something like that? Or was it like...
I
just
must have been. I can't remember what it was. Yeah.
Probably just a similar spin-off of the Age. The Flash Age.
The old Flash Age. The Eskimo Bob Age of the internet.
I did go and look, like, most of... like I think all of Eskimo Bob is now on YouTube.
Sweet.
But they haven't playlisted it, right? Oh. So they're all out of sequence for some reason, so you've got to make your own playlist to watch Eskimo Bob properly.
In the right order. Oh, but it has arcs and stuff, so you have to run it in order.
Yeah, it does. You've got to watch it in order.
Yeah, it's vital.
Unless this is like the director's cut. Like the way they...
would have thought so.
And it's like, this is the preferred watching order.
Oh, what order should you watch Star Wars? Yeah.
Yeah. Preferred viewing sequence. Hey, do you guys remember The Tick?
Not that well, but yes.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, because I just watched the Amazon Prime series for it, because they did a live-action version of The Tick.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of okay. It's like, it's one of those ones where it's like they've clearly got some good ideas, but they run with the bad ones for a bit too long.
Oh, no.
And, like, it's clearly made on a budget, but when they do pastiches on other films, such as, what's that one about the jazz drummer?
Oh, Whiplash.
Yeah, they do some Whiplash stuff, which is funny.
Are you rushing or are you dragging? Yeah.
I'm dragging! And you do know the difference.
Just not quite my tempo.
Yeah.
I don't know what I think about that film. I did enjoy it, but I think it's...
I haven't seen it. It's one of those things I kind of do want to see, but it's just like, when will I get round to seeing it? Like, probably never.
It's quite good, but given it's about a jazz drummer, it's got almost nothing to do with jazz.
Right, well, that's kind of what these things are, right? Like most films aren't really about the thing they're wrapped in.
Exactly.
It's the 6-story problem, right? Is it 6 stories? There's only 6 stories that a film tells.
Is that a problem?
Media tells.
Maybe that's okay.
Yeah.
If there's only... If they're good stories, then...
Well, I guess. It's something like that, isn't it? There's like only a few real arcs, really. You can boil everything down to...
In video games, there's only one.
You're the chosen one.
You're the chosen one.
It's always
That's the whole
aliens.
thing.
Yeah. The chosen one is such a weird one.
Hello, Final Fantasy 15.
Hello, everybody came.
I wouldn't say there's a chosen one in Walking Dead, because kind of everyone dies.
Well, like, per set. You're the chosen one until the end where you die and then move on to the next thing.
Technically, there wasn't a chosen one in Halo until Halo 5. Or Halo
but there
4
was,
even,
all along. That was the thing.
Yeah.
You didn't know it, but then it actually turned out to be true. Even aliens, he was the chosen one.
Retcon.
How is Master Chief not the chosen one? Like,
I mean, he is, but like in the first 3 games, that's never brought up.
No, but
it's only really brought up in Halo 4.
He was the chosen one of being like the last one of the Spartans who survived, basically.
Even that bit's not true, right? No. There's other Spartans.
Well, the last of like his group, really, though. Last Spartan 2, probably.
But he's like kind of the chosen one because he's the first like reclaimer to find a Halo and then get taught to by 343 or whatever.
Yeah.
That was still...
Even at that point, that was...
Well, even at that point, that was kind of hinting towards the whole chosen one thing, kind of. Except they were... Back in 1, 2, and 3, it was a bit more like, you just need a human, not one specific human.
Yeah.
The fact that they were calling him Reclaimer is, like, not... It was just because he was there, right?
That's true. But he was there because he was the most badass super soldier around there,
sure.
Right?
And having to be human and not Covenant.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they knew all along. Because it's not like Guilty Spike ever refers to anyone else.
No, but that's what they say now. That's what they say now. That they
he
knew
actually
all
calls
along.
Miranda Keyes like a reclaimer, doesn't she? Doesn't he? 343, I think. Yeah, at one point.
Oh, does he?
He's like, this reclaimer is extremely fragile at the end of
right. Yeah,
Halo 2.
No, yeah. I think they've retconned that, so like in theory the word reclaimer is supposed to refer to just Chief or something.
Just the Chief, right.
Yeah. Maybe I might be wrong on that, or maybe the humans in general, I don't know. I seem to think there's something they've changed around that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably plenty of retconning going on.
Oh yeah, it's fairly solid, like in terms of like the universe and things like that. Yeah, like I think they pushed the limits of it in the spin-off stuff, like Halo Wars, for instance. I think makes some changes to things like the fact that Halo Wars 2 is set on the Ark.
Yeah,
it's like I thought that place had gone and was like decimated,
and stretching it.
Yeah, and yet it can. And the whole point of Halo 3 was that like blowing up the ring in the Ark or something was supposed to like shut down its facility, and you're not supposed to be able to build stuff. Yet the plot of Halo Wars 2 is about building another bloody ring, or has some of that in it, and it's like, all right.
Yeah, it kind of expanded beyond its scope to the point where it got a bit crazy with the stories and stuff in the world.
Yeah, so
kind of
what can you do with it now? And it's like, well, in fairness, you could tell plenty of stories that don't necessarily have to involve, the Forerunners or Flood or any of that stuff. You could just tell wartime stories.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like everything has to, for some reason, have a bigger scope, or everything has to affect the whole world to be like an epic story, right? So you can never
it doesn't just make it character focused and interesting, and there you go.
They don't do that though. They never that was my complaint about, like I said this before, but about the newer Blade Runner, the 2049. I thought it was good, but it's like the original one was just a story that took place in that world. It wasn't like changing the whole world as a consequence, only slightly maybe.
I mean, I think this is. Yeah, so following that, this is where I was a bit disappointed, like with the direction they took Andromeda in Mass Effect. I mean, and it's just
exactly.
It's like you didn't need to do anything like groundbreaking or
it's like
you didn't even need to like address anything as big a scope as the Reapers. Just for your first in the new set, scale everything way back.
Yeah.
Like maybe have a moment towards the end of the game, like Mass Effect 1 does, where it's like a revelation that there is something bigger going on. But you had the ability to scale it way back and be like, oh, we're just a part of it. Do a Gears of War 1 on it,
But no, they did like a weird soft reboot where they had a new galaxy, but then they had like they had Pathfinders, which were the same as Spectres and all of this.
It's completely unnecessary.
Anyway.
They already had all this gold to work with.
And when a studio does do... The problem is they'll only do those small scale stories when it's a small scale game, like Halo ODST. Everyone really likes, but they couldn't have done that like with the big sequel. Or if they, no, I think they could have done, but they didn't, right? Because no one's brave enough to do that.
No, I think I guess when I try and think of games that I think of Bad Company to some degree.
Sure,
because that wasn't we're changing the. As far as I know, we're not changing the war. We're just having a chat between like four slightly unruly fellas.
Yeah, they just do their thing.
Yeah,
and I guess happen to help. I guess a bit.
Of course, everyone helps. Like in a weird way, that's kind of why the Battlefield 1 little vignette storylines were okay, because they focused on important people and they made a difference, but they weren't like winning the war in each little vignette. There was always a downside to what just happened, and the cost was always high or something like that.
Apart from maybe the pilot guy.
Yeah.
He was a bit like super powered.
Was it supposed to be Biggles? I don't think it was supposed to be Biggles.
No.
It was an American chap, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was American, right? Yeah.
America.
Right, what's been going on, guys?
I mean, you teased me before we went. Well, Gnome teased me before we went on air. Do you want to talk about having a spa day?
Oh, a what?
A spa day.
A spa day.
No, but you do want to talk about it, really.
I mean, what is that really? There's not a lot to say other than it's a nice, relaxing day, and you get. Well, it's the first time I've had someone like give me a back massage. That's the first time I've ever had one of those.
Did it make a difference where you were like, oh shit, my back was fucked up and I didn't know it?
Well, I think I've always kind of known my back's a little messed up because I've got that, I've had the bouts of sciatica every now and then, things like that, and it's, but it's not been too bad since I've been running. but they did put, when they first started poking it, that was kind of my first thought. It was like, oh no, there's that nerve twinge. Oh, this is going to be bad, right? This is just going to set it right off. And it's like, oh no, it's going away. Oh, now everything's right with the world.
Okay.
Oh, so now I really have to watch out that I don't fall asleep. Yeah, no, it is really quite nice. Although I did zone into some of the music that was playing at one point, because there was one that was like a piano piece, and I couldn't help but expect. Well, there was some it was all sort of new agey, relaxing music, but there was a bit that was a piano piece, and after a while, it was quite a short loop, but I'm sort of listening to it, going, it sounds a lot like the second zone from Sonic the Hedgehog. That sort of distracted me for a while. I'm just slightly going rather than really enjoying what's going on. And it does. I have to get the sort of key point here. It does take a few minutes to get over the slight creepiness of having someone else's oily hands all over you.
Yeah, but then you're fine, I guess.
Yeah.
After a short time. So is it more about the massage itself, or the result, like Zach saying, where your back feels better?
Well, I think if I had major trouble, maybe I would know about the result a bit more. It's it's certainly relaxing during, though. I'd say for me, it was more about the during than the aftermath. Let's put it that way. So it's it was nice. It was really nice. Although it's a bit weird, it's because we've never done it before, and they ask, so what kind of pressure do you like? And I'm like, I've got no idea.
No idea.
Just go for something in the middle, and we'll see what happens. And it's medium, and then sort of 10 minutes in, or some amount of time in, they're like, how's the pressure? And you're like, oh, don't say anything right now. Don't talk to me. It's fine.
Yeah, it's all fine. How's the pressure? That's got to be one of those questions.
Pressure.
I always think every time I'm
stress in every part of my life. I'm pressured, mate. Now's not the time to pressure.
Every time I go to the hairdressers and get my hair washed, I think about how they then say, "Is that temperature okay for you?" Do you get that?
Oh yeah.
I wonder how many times they have to say that every day, every single day.
Yeah, it's is the temperature all right? Are you not going to sue me?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. I'm not accidentally breaking your neck right now with this.
From hair washing right now, it would just be fully automatic, right? Then
but no,
it would just automatically mix the water to the temperature before it even got out of the tap.
I suppose some people are more sensitive than others.
Yeah, people.
Yeah, but you're not going to be washing unless it's something that you have to do for a specific reason. But you're not going to deliberately wash hot. You're going to wash mildly warm, neutral temperature.
I guess hot cleans better. Is that the theory? I don't know.
Maybe. I guess it does, yeah. It is usually a tad hot, isn't it? Wouldn't you say? I think they err on the side of hot when they do that.
I don't know. I think I'm still using Geno's in Ipswich, and it's for the few times I actually get my hair cut.
Oh, yeah.
And it's and that's always fine. I have nothing really to say. It's just it's cool. It's mildly warm, as Zach describes.
Yeah.
So, do you get any other treatments?
They did sort of a. Well, so I had a face thing as well. I think it was called I don't know the correct term. I don't know if it's actually a facial or if it's It was more of a get your face oiled by all these different things, product after product after product, and sequence after sequence, and it's just
face oiled.
Yeah, it's more of a face massage more than anything else. So that's kind of weird. It's kind of it's again, you sink into it, and it's quite nice. But just the vague concept of someone putting their hands all over your face, like watching
Face Off.
Yeah. like John Travolta going down someone's face in Face Off. It's not nearly as bad as that, but. It's just I was acutely aware of while they're going around my nose, going, "Oh, hope there's no boogers up there." Just thinking, or maybe they're pushing it out. You might get a nasty green surprise in a second, love. Keep it up.
Keep it up.
But yeah, it's somewhat weird, and then you get sort of put in certain phases of it. You get put in a sort of quite well wrapped in a towel for a moment, and they'll sort of almost press it on you for a bit, and I'm like, is this what waterboarding's like? a little bit, because I had a moment like when they did that, it was just like, oh, this is a damp towel being pressed onto my face, and it's like, and then I had a moment like a momentary panic of just like, can I breathe like this? It's like, oh no, I can. It's fine. And they didn't use cucumbers.
No cucumbers.
No cucumbers.
Oh,
there was some
missing
other
out.
pad that they put on, like maybe artificial cumbers. But
Yes. Maybe they've evolved fast, just vegetable.
yeah, it's odd, but yeah, quite nice. Odd in a nice way. And then did the usual thing that you do, which is go in a swimming pool and a hot tub for the rest of the day.
Fuck up everything they just did by introducing chlorine!
Yep.
Woo!
Mess it right up.
Oh, yeah.
Get
Hot
that
tubs are
chemi-
pretty great, though.
Oh, hot tubs are great, yeah. They're just like, I'm just going to zone out for the next 30 minutes, and I don't know what's going on.
How's your hot tub, Zeg? In the
Hot
back
skanks.
garden?
Still functional.
Functional. Still have to clean it.
Yeah.
No tails.
No. Well, I'm not really involved with the hot tub unless I'm the only one in the house and it's just like dump some chlorine in it, that's fine.
you don't have to really look what's in there and see like, oh,
No.
nothing's died, it's alright.
Well, it has a cover, so nothing gets in it.
You hope.
Have you used it at all then, or is it just for your rents?
I don't want to go in a hot tub. Too much hassle. Like I said, it's the chlorine. That's the thing that always annoys. It's fine when it's like a spa day or whatever, when you're already there, but to go out into our back garden, into a hot tub, sit there for some period of time, and then basically come back inside and have a shower to get all the chlorine off. It's like, that's not really very fun, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I
sure.
can sort of see that, yeah. Just the extra step.
Yeah,
So I'm just going to
like,
it'll be fine.
just have a shower instead. That's enough. Don't actually do this whole extra thing that just is like an extra half an hour. Or, do what I usually do, which is have a bath and then a shower. Because functionally the same thing, but more clean.
Double clean.
Is that your typical routine, bath and shower?
When I can be bothered to spend that long. Because, the bath is the bit that adds a lot of time to that
Yeah, it
process.
does. There's prep in that as well.
Well, not that much prep. Although our bath does run quite slowly, which is always an annoying part. We're like, I'm going to turn on these taps and then go and do something else for 10 more minutes.
I can't remember the last time I had a bath.
No.
Sorry, that sounded more
Don't-
judgmental than I intended.
I don't
but,
think
like,
I can remember the last time I had a bath.
I'd like baths even more if I could fit in them there.
Yeah.
Particularly the one at our house, because it's sloped at both ends, which is the worst.
Is that actually worse?
Yeah, I
you?
don't know.
Because it reduces because your
Foot space on
your
one end.
foot
Yeah.
space is your feet are pushed up, so your knees are out of the water, or you have to slant the other way, and so you're never 100% able to get as much underwater as you'd like.
Unless you fill the bath to like.
And I'm
dangerous
tall
levels.
anyway, so even in a probably a normal shaped bath, it wouldn't even be good enough.
No.
I need a big bath, an unusually big bath.
Unusual. What you need is a hot tub.
So that doesn't
Sink
count.
into it. No kitchen bitching.
Marginal kitchen bitching.
Marginal bitching.
I've been
Like you're skirting the edges of bitching.
I've been
Is this more of a house grouse?
possibly. I've been attempting to eat cereal at night instead of my typical cheese sandwich because I was like,
They say that's like a decent idea, right? There's something about like you
Yeah.
actually should eat like oats and milk or whatever, like
Yeah.
in the evening anyway.
so I was like, maybe this is marginally more healthy than a cheese sandwich. I guess. I mean, it's still in fact on dairy, I suppose. But whatever.
You must
so-
have the best dreams.
You'd think so, but that doesn't seem to work on me. The old cheese theory.
Your cheese dream.
Yeah. Maybe I just adapted to it over the many years.
That's normal now.
Yeah. But I've been trying to eat cereal. The trouble is that apparently we only have about one functional bowl in our house. And as soon as it gets used for anything else, I go downstairs, it's like, this bowl is not washed, and this is the only bowl.
That seems like quite a big flaw in the
Yeah.
what do you call it? Kitchenware? It's not cutlery, but like what does it count as?
Crockery.
Crockery,
That's
that's
the word you're
it.
looking for.
Yes it is.
But But yeah, we just eventually just got rid of all of the bowls over the years where I guess no one was eating cereal for a while. So it's just like, we only have one singular bowl. There are, I did discover in the cupboard, there's like, here's some other bowls, but they're really small bowls, and it's just like, that's no good. It's fine if I'm eating like flakes of something, but if I want to eat Weetabix, I need you need an actual bowl-sized bowl for Weetabix.
Weetabix always strikes me as too much hassle.
Not really.
Just get a bowl of shreddies.
It's not really any different.
Frosted shreddies, just sort of. I don't know. I always feel like there's a strategy with Weetabix. Like,
well, yeah, there's a strategy,
but that's too much thinking.
It's not that much thinking.
It's not what I want to be doing in the morning.
You just have two flat and one tilted up, and then once you've eaten one of the first two, you shuffle the third one down to get it soaking, and then eat the second one. So, order of operations.
Wait, so you triple bisque?
Yeah.
See, that's part of my problem.
Free Weetabix. I mean, come on.
I mean, that's part of the problem with me, because it's like most of they come in like...
They come in packs of 12 or 24, which is conveniently divisible by 2 and 3, you'll notice.
Yeah. Well, I only remember sort of like occasionally get those like small... I'm sure there's like smaller packs where it's like... 12. But like, I don't know, for some reason in my head I've got like the idea of like where they individually wrapped 2 bisques.
I don't know if they do that any longer.
Maybe that's like
individual wrapping is quite an old theory now.
Yeah, maybe that's like travel Weetabix.
Yeah, possibly.
It's like, two bisques. And like, but yeah. I don't know, 2 seems too little and 3 seems a bit too much for me.
No, 3 is sufficient. Also, everything's smaller nowadays. They're probably not as big as they used to be.
It's been a long time. See, I used to sugar my Weetabix as well. But then, of course, that creates the problem. It's like, right, I've got to make sure I eat all the less sugary bits first, and then work my way to the sugar pile.
Less sugary bits, you spread it perfectly evenly across the top.
Then you end up with sugary milk.
Well, who cares? Drink that as well.
So I always I always chop off the edges of the work
You're making yourself too much effort is what we've discovered here. You just fucking eat it like a normal person.
I think I do that with all my food though. Right? There's always a strategy to eating everything.
Well, sometimes I think we somehow discussed this before on the podcast, where it's like the old school.
After 9 years, or nearly 9 years, I'm sure we have. Yeah.
The old school tactics of like, if you're eating like dry frosted shreddies, where it's like you clearly leave the more frosted ones till last because that's the best.
Yeah.
You just pick out the less frosted ones until you're left with a bowl which is basically all frosted.
Or Kellogg's Frosted Wheats. That's the real one. You get some of those little bastards that have nothing on them. You're like, I'm eating those first. Save the ones that have like twice the thickness and frosting, and just like, that one's going in my face last. I'm looking at you. I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, that's where tactics are viable. But if you're like using a spoon, I'm not sure you need to put that much effort in. Just scoop it into your face.
It's like when you're eating pizza, right? It's like, so what's your pizza strategy?
Well, that's always the trouble with pizza strategy, is that like if you're tempted to leave the good slices until last, but then you get full and you're like, I can't enjoy the good slice now.
I mean, that's fine for me because I'll just eat them tomorrow and they'll be good.
Well, but then they won't be as good as if it was fresh good slice.
True, you are right. You want the sort of that balance. You really want those medium slices to be left, the ones that have just enough topping to be satisfying. But not necessarily the toppings that might go skank over the course of 24 hours. But...
If you've got any topping that does go skank, then
that's
not going to be avoidable.
Doesn't really
over everything.
There are. I mean, pineapple might be a no-go if you're going to do that, but pineapple's a no-go anyway.
Really,
it's a wrong one. So you got I don't know. I always tend to take one bite from like the middle bit, the tip of the pizza.
What tactics are you discussing for pizza? You eat it from the pointy end like any normal person does.
But I only take like a few bites from that end, because the problem is like that end has is probably where the highest concentration of cheese and nice topping is.
Yeah.
Like somewhere in that middle ring of pizzas where the good zone is. So you have a bit from the middle because that's often the drippiest, juiciest and most inconvenient part of it. So you get rid of that first. Then you go back to the crust. And you deal with a bit of crust that then sort of work your way in from the side.
Well, yes, but that's like how you eat how you eat bread. Like you don't just eat out the middle and just be left with a crust.
yeah, but the middle of the bread isn't accessible in a sandwich always, unless you're cutting it into triangles or. Even if you cut it to triangles or halves, then you'd probably have a strategy. Yeah, are you a crust first, or are you just shove it in the middle?
When you're eating a whole sandwich, you're still eating one end of the crust and then working downwards towards the other end.
Not necessarily. You might like sometimes. Don't
go all the way around the crust. That's dumb.
Hi,
you're dumb. That's like you might as well just fucking cut the crust off at that point.
It's not like I dislike the crust. I'm just getting rid of perhaps the least flavourful part first.
Or you should spread better then. Get the spreading all the way out to the crust.
It depends. Sometimes you have like I don't know, fillings or something that perhaps a bit dangerous to push to the edge, like the risk of falling out. But unless you have like super stale, strong bread, or thick bread.
Thick bread.
I know less fussy when it comes to like hoagies or like.
There's not anything to be fussy about.
Like Subway.
That's pretty much just crust.
Yeah, you just work your way through it. Just go end to end. Perhaps you stop at some point, especially if you get. I don't know if you're eating like a baguette sandwich and you'd like have that effect where you're squeezing stuff out the back end.
Yeah.
And it's just like right, I'm going to reverse for a second just to like even out this squidginess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Even the pressure. Food eating strategies. I'm like that with burgers as well.
Tactics.
Like, I'm like a bit like this with burgers. Like before I start, like I'll skim the outside of the burger, and I'll identify.
So badly constructed from fast food. It's just like you know that there's always going to be a concentration at one side where it's like this is the good half where they've actually done the job correctly.
Yeah, you want to get to that bit. It's more like I think the best part of a burger is like a part of the edge. And it's got to have the like cheese coming out, and maybe, and if you're lucky, maybe a bit of bacon just sticking out as well.
Guys, we have to get through this podcast before we can eat. I'm starting to get hungry.
As usual, we've talked about food forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bear, you always leave that bit of the burger till the end, so you can work through the rest of it. Maybe take the tomato out. Like, just have that first. Like, just
take it out.
No, eat it all together.
No, I take
don't put the tomato in the first place.
I mean, sometimes you don't have choice. It's like it's not like I don't want the tomato. I'll have the tomato if you give it to me. I'll just probably put it in my face, like outside of the burger. Like I'll have the tomato, but like I don't know. I want to taste that meat and that cheese, and maybe that bacon salt. Just the saltiness of the bacon.
Right. News time.
That's why the XL bacon double cheese at Burger King is.
Burger King.
I think I just said at Burger King, but I'll take the Burger King.
What do we got? What's going on in the world of video games?
I've got theoretical news. Or
theoretical news.
My favourite kind of news.
Yep. A couple of things. First of all, with check in with the Smash Brothers rumours, as you do. Because that's what's going on the internet at the moment.
Classic.
Smash those brothers.
There's been a couple more supposed leaks about things where people are like, Steve from Minecraft and Sora from Kingdom Hearts, and it's just like,
well, they're fairly.
Well, they're
relatively safe bets.
Yeah. But then the trouble with this last leak that had those in was like. It was too perfect a leak, in my opinion. It was like, because it also talked about stuff that had already happened, because this was quite an old leak, and that people are just now sort of bringing up again, because it's like, they got this part right, and it's like, yeah, but they got it like too right. Like suspicious. Either it's the best leak ever, or it's just someone who's used the past information and made it look like a leak. Which is kind of weak. I'm just like, I'm unconvinced. And also,
I still think Minecraft Steve's a good shout. Like, as a left field, like, let's get another studio in.
Yeah.
And, Switch, as I said before, Nintendo and Microsoft are quite buddy-buddy at the moment. But...
Yeah. I don't know. The trouble is with these most recent leaks is they're still suggesting, like, 6 or 8 characters, and I'm like, I don't know, that seems too many. What with the box theory?
I think there's still I think there's room for quite a bit of DLC.
I think there should be.
Yeah.
Room for plenty more, if they want to, but it doesn't...
I don't think most... Like, I think we've seen... there may be 1 or 2 left before the actual game comes out, and the rest of this is going to be DLC.
Yeah, maybe DLC. That could be part of these rumours, I guess.
Highly overpriced DLC.
Possibly. But yeah, I'm still betting on 4 characters, the box theory. And, probably 2 actual characters and 2 echoes.
Yeah, that seems plausible.
And, as I said last time, still betting on those 4 typical characters that everyone wants, because that seems to be the way it's been going. Not all these weird characters. No Shovel Knight.
Last minute Waluigi hype. Still going to happen, man.
It's the first DLC, though. Not actually going to be in base game.
Yeah, just shut everyone up.
Or maybe a free DLC.
Money.
Maybe like a teaser DLC. Be like, here's what you could expect, but for money.
I don't think they're going to do like the Splatoon update cycle with Smash.
Why not? This has been the first time they have the opportunity.
Yeah. It'd be really nice if they did.
I mean, they could just do that for levels, at least. Because I'm sure they could port a whole shit ton more levels. Because it's not like they've got all of the ones from the previous game in there at the moment. So that would still be easy. Just port them over. And they did that kind of anyway with the characters, didn't they? Because they made specific levels for them, most of the DLC characters.
Yeah, most of them.
So it's not like they haven't had levels in those packs anyway.
I don't think they did a special stage from Mewtwo, did they? Or did they bring back an old one? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Yeah. That might have been the one exception.
He wasn't a new character. It was like... There's that.
Was the Ness counterpart? Did you literally just say that?
What?
Not Ness, but the other guy?
Lucas,
because he was DLC as well.
I think, were they in the same pack? Or were they the same time?
Roughly the same time, yeah, they were pretty close.
Yeah. And the other thing that was happening in rumours about Smash Brothers is more theories about when the next Direct might be.
Right.
Because basically...
There's definitely going to be one before the end of the year.
Well, I'm expecting 2, to be honest, before Smash comes out. I'm expecting one more for just character stuff, and then the mysterious mode, which everyone...
you reckon they're in the... What? You reckon there'll be like tidbits in other Nintendo Directs, or do you reckon they're going to do a Smash Direct?
They'll do a Smash Direct and a normal Direct. Probably the next one will be another normal Direct with a character or 2.
See, I don't know if there's enough to fill another whole Smash Direct.
It doesn't have to be a really long one.
No.
It could just be just a quick Smash Direct. But they've got to talk about that mode. They've teased it, and they haven't said anything about it since.
And what else has Nintendo got for the rest of the year?
Well, yeah, that too. I mean, there's not that much of the year left. And it's December when Smash Bros. Comes out, and that's pretty much the end of the year. So that's that. But yeah, the rumours about when the next Direct is going to be have been based on the classic people on the internet paying far too much attention to things that you wouldn't imagine people would pay attention to, where like the Smash Bros. Video playlist of all the characters got updated, but no new videos are in it, which means they've uploaded private videos.
Oh,
and supposedly every time that's happened, the Direct happens about 10 days later. So sometime towards the end of next week or early the week after will be there should be a Direct, supposedly, judging by that timing.
So we're on the cusp, is what you're saying?
Yeah. The October Direct, I guess we'll call it. There's that. And in other theoretical news, they've announced that the alpha for Satisfactory is going to start.
Oh, okay. Good news for you.
Sometime in the next couple of weeks.
And get you more of your belt fixed.
Yeah, but it's a very small alpha to start with, so.
The belts!
They're going to send out a hardware survey thing.
Oh, okay, right.
Which, I might technically have an advantage from being on an ancient Windows 7 PC. That's kind of unusual.
Yeah,
relatively speaking. If they're looking for, actual testing.
It's something I
Because it's an actual alpha, not just a bullshit alpha.
Yeah, it was something weird I saw on Steam the other day where they were like, "Oh, we've just patched the game so it will now work on Win 7." It just clearly wasn't in the original design plan to make it work there, and they were like, "No, we've done that now. We fixed it." I sort of didn't think that was a thing, that Win 7 compatibility was that much of a problem.
There's that. Maybe I can get in there, but probably not, or at least not immediately. They said they're starting with 200 people, so that's a very small alpha.
That is very small.
But they want to ramp it up relatively quickly.
Just like a factory.
Yeah, I guess.
World building. Like Satisfactory ARG. that your theoretical news?
Yep, that's the theoretical news.
Theoretical news. News that may or may not. Boosh. You got anything, Dan?
Not a lot this week. There was rumours about a new version of the Switch, but no one seems to know anything. I mean, that seems obvious that they do a hardware refresh, but I can't imagine there's a lot they could really do.
It's one of those things that in the back of my mind I'm going, oh, that seems too soon, but it's like it's nearly been 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's mad, isn't it? Like the Switch
That's still too soon, really.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be like lighter that much. I mean, it'd be nice.
I mean, the only reason that like it kind of is annoying is that there was that at the launch of the Switch, there was that whole rumor about like they're using what has just become a last generation chip, essentially.
Yeah,
right, they just finished making the Switch as that new portable chip came out, and it's like, oh, this sucks.
It's Tegra 1, but it's highly modified Tegra 1 or something.
Yeah, it's highly modified.
So it ends up being like a halfway house between 1 and 2.
But we can only hope that they don't try and do what the 3DS did, where there's
far too early to do a new Switch.
Yeah,
they don't want that. You don't want to split the user base like you did with the 3DS, because that was an ass.
I don't think that's...
Luckily, it was so late in the 3DS, it kind of didn't matter.
I mean, I hope that they look at what PS4 Pro and Xbox X have done and been like, yeah, no, you can do
You can do it, yeah.
Even if they do it, I don't think they will do it. I think that's unwise. It's too early to be thinking about a power creep.
Yeah. I think they'll probably do it eventually, but this is too early.
There's no reason why not these days. Just keep your platform going.
The only reason I'd theoretically want to get one is so I could have non-Gen 1 Joy-Cons. So I could not have my problematic Joy-Cons any longer.
Hey, my Switch did do a weird thing the other day where it updated one of the Joy-Cons. It's like the left one had a firmware update, and it's like...
Well, my one updated both on the last hardware update.
Yeah, maybe my right one already had it for some reason. It was a bit weird.
Okay, there's that. What else? Well, Telltale, the tale has been told, I guess. But Skybound Games have picked up The Walking Dead, I believe. Yeah,
and the remaining staff of Telltale have I think there is still a couple of people left, but the majority of people, the skeleton crew, quote unquote, that they said they'd left after they've gone now.
Yeah, so that's that. Games are coming out. Everyone seems to like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is interesting.
Well, especially because none of us really played like Origins though, and that went down quite well.
That went down well, but I thought that was like it struck me that was like a big one or whatever, where they changed a lot, and this is like a quick follow up. But then again, quick follow ups have been good in the past, I suppose, if you look at Brotherhood. So
yeah. I mean, Brotherhood was pretty fast on the heels of 2. And that was what started their annual cycle, unfortunately. Yeah, they have already said that they're not doing one next year, so they are taking another break.
Yeah.
And I think that's wise of them. I think they can, in terms of like how they do their technology, that might make a whole lot of sense. It's like, okay, we'll get Origins out, and we'll sort of be developing this alongside it, so we've got 2 games using the same tech stack.
Yep.
And then we'll have another one. Improving it.
So then it's like a 3-year cycle for the tech stack.
So it makes sense because it forces them to push forward a little better. It gives them time to push forward. I mean, more frequently.
But
then the other theory is that the off year means that they're just giving room for Watch Dogs.
Oh well, that's fine too.
So Watch Dogs 3 might happen.
Right, could be. I mean, 2 was better than 1, right? So
it's on the upward trend. What annoys me about Assassin's Creed is that goddamn advert where they don't use the song, they use the lyrics of the song. That classic 90s choose life, choose a job.
Do they really?
They use the lyrics of that, but like just spoken without actual music.
Because that's from Trainspotting.
Yeah, from Trainspotting. And I'm like, what is this reference?
That's really weird.
That is strange.
Why would you use that specific thing for? I mean, I guess they're trying to be like, oh, you have choices in this game now because
Assassin's Creed has
become Mass Effect suddenly.
Yeah,
is Trainspotting really that much of a global thing? Would that quote have really been?
Would anyone have recognised it?
Yeah.
So it's very different to Assassin's Creed, that's for sure.
I mean, it's quite a UK centric thing.
I think
right?
it is a famous film, but that doesn't mean it's just not really got any connection to Assassin's Creed. I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, what have they done? Have they reused? Was it them for Origin or one of the previous Assassin's Creed games where they took the Lord version of Tears for Fears? Everyone wants to rule the world. It's
don't remember.
Like they have that's just video game trailers now, right? Isn't it?
Yeah,
just like get an emo cover of a famous song. It's like.
That was the plus side of this advert, where it doesn't have any music. It's not a remix of that song that was based on the film. It's just the quote from the film.
Emo's not the right word. Like somber, I suppose, but like haunting remix. Which I'm generally quite a fan of normally, but like it's just overdone.
But that whole like lyric/poem, the whole point of that is like, don't do the mainstream thing, like buy an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What could be more mainstream than that?
them getting them buying any Ubisoft game in fairness.
Yep.
Choose life, choose a career. Get a television, get a PlayStation 4, get Assassin's Creed. Woo. Yeah.
Do all this stuff and then realise what you've done with your life.
Yep. It was weird.
That is weird. Okay, what else we got? There was some kind of rumor about a Harry Potter game, and there was a trailer leaked, and now it's disappeared. And now no one knows who was making it. First, there was Rocksteady, which would have been interesting, but it isn't.
That would have been.
I know.
That would have been a real interesting shout. Yeah,
exactly. But it looked, I think, kind of cool. So people are kind of excited, and they don't know if it's been cancelled or if it's actually coming out or what the fuck's going on. Anyway, so something is going on with Harry Potter.
Can't be worse than the EA ones.
No, on a like RPG level type thing, which could potentially actually be good if, I mean, that's a good license if someone actually did it well.
The trouble is, it's like that would be at least the third time they've made a game based on that exact same story. If we are assuming it's
but what's the story?
Harry Potter and not like a spin-off of in that universe or anything.
Yeah, I guess it could be. Who knows? Yeah. It's never been done well, though, unless you're counting, as Rob said earlier, Lego Harry Potter.
Yeah, Lego Harry Potter is pretty fine.
Well, Lego Harry Potter is like...
But Lego everything is good, right?
Yeah, but they have a generic level of quality.
The Harry Potter ones are a little different from the other Lego games, though. It's like, they follow a lot of the same tropes and they use a lot of the same things. But the actual way you play that game is more puzzle-focused than just run around mash stuff into bricks. You know, until they break into studs. It's like the Harry Potter games are actually just that little bit more interesting. And I think it was one of the last few they did before they decided that Lego can talk now. So it still retained a lot of that silent slapstick,
that charm,
humour that I quite liked. Not that I have a problem with the Lego talking phase. Like, that seems fine too. But it's, it has that. It was one of the last of those. And they were pretty good,
And I didn't think
surprisingly good.
The first one or maybe two of the EA Harry Potter games were terrible. I mean, they were so old that they were of that age.
I mean, that's the thing.
Kind of shitty.
If you think back, those first Harry Potter games were PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
They
weren't completely terrible, though. I think I played most of Harry Potter 1.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, I guess there's just not a lot to them, right?
Well, I mean,
walk down corridor, slap something with your wand.
Well, not quite. It was more like platforming.
Was it really?
And puzzles, I guess. And like hidden stuff. It was all about hidden collectibles.
Slap it with your wand.
Before it turned into, like, Gears of Potter, as they said.
Gears
the later games. Chess-eye walls and rapid-fire wands.
Right, yeah. That's dumb.
They should have, I don't know, it's one of those things, couldn't they have, like how, which is the one with the sort of fight, the big,
unspecific.
The last
wasn't it the one where, Gary Oldman's character dies or whatever, they have a big old sort of
the fifth one.
They're just in sort of like an empty roundhouse, right? Having
the big room with the giant death cave in it.
Yeah.
And he falls through the cave, and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, and they're just having a nice zappy wand fight.
Yep.
What I'm thinking is there could have been some sort of perhaps a For Honor style like you have to attack and parry system of some kind. Like someone fires, you've got to try and you've actually got to block it somehow. And
oh yeah, you can definitely do it well.
There could be stuff there,
especially because it doesn't really make much sense in the books and the films. So you could do what you want with it, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. You could make mechanics, but just don't make them guns.
Yeah,
they're magical.
So we shall see about that. Hopefully something will come of it that will be good. I've got here the point that Google are going to try a live streaming gaming service.
Because who isn't?
Yeah, so everyone's doing it, but now Google are trying it. It's called Project Stream. Brilliant name.
Wow.
Well, at least it is right now. It's a trial, and it's Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So it's the one game.
Yeah, I'd vaguely heard that Assassin's Creed were doing like a streaming edition.
So we'll see how good is Google's tech versus everyone else, because it's all about the latency and the video quality, I guess. And if they've got YouTube,
every now and then you do hear the odd report admittedly from people that are in San Francisco, where probably all the servers are, and where gigabit broadband is a thing. And they're just like, hey, you know what? This is actually not too bad for some game types now. But it's still not perfect. If you're someone like me who's hypersensitive to input lag, I would hate it. But
yeah,
so I'm really could not care at this point.
But more people still care. It's not one of those concepts that was there was that on live service and then it died and now it's gone. It's not like 3D TV, is what I'm saying, as something that's just sort of gone away, or even VR. To be honest, there's creeping back.
There's an element of the idea that makes sense, but they have got to solve what is, as I say, potentially an impossible problem in latency.
Yeah, basically impossible. I can't see how that could ever be solved. Yeah,
quantum entanglement is possibly the only way to solve it.
Clearly, that's information.
Yeah,
not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Yeah. So that's that. Mario Party. Any problem? It's a game.
Mario Party seems to be going down pretty good.
I mean,
in a sort of back to the basics kind of way, but we've made it faster. Maybe seems to be. I mean, that's the thing. I've read a couple of reviews now, and neither of them mention that they've sped up the game too much. Zach says he stumbled upon one that may have said it's fast now, but as vague as that sounds, it's like none of them seem to be dialing in on what is the core problem of Mario Party. None of them have
realised.
Yeah, is it just us that gets really peed off by just how long things take in Mario Party? I don't want to watch this animation. I don't want to see this thing. I don't want to just do it. Just do it. Let's go on. Let's go.
Presumably, if you went back to read reviews of the older ones, like 4, for example, in particular, surely those reviews must have at the time pointed out that it was slow.
Yeah.
So is the fact that the new reviews aren't mentioning it at all actually a positive sign?
Is that the thing? Yeah. Is it no longer noteworthy?
Well,
yeah, interesting. I mean, there's every chance that it's a good Mario Party. Take from that your own interpretation of what a good Mario Party is. Yeah.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
Cool.
Then it'll be one of those.
And that is the news.
Yeah. I guess. Well, I'm going to put a sad note out because it sounds like Splatoon 2's update support's coming to an end. And that bums me out.
Ooh.
I mean, it has been a year and a half, but I don't know. I thought they were just going to run with this one. At Splatoon 1, it kind of makes sense. It was on the Wii U.
Yeah. Then the console died, so they couldn't really continue updating it.
Support, when you think about it, support for that game ended not long before the Switch actually came out, and before Splatoon 2 actually came about. So, upside, maybe this means Splatoon 3 is 6 months away.
But is that a good thing? I mean, I think we talked about it even when we were talking about Splatoon 2, where it's the next game they do, they're going to have to actually do something new. Because the whole point of Splatoon 2 is it was basically Splatoon 1, but on a system people cared about.
Yeah, basically. And
so for free, they'd actually have to do something different. Really shake things up, not just make weird slight variations.
Yeah, it seems like I know they've got them like, presumably to keep it alive, they've got to monetize it. But like, I thought perhaps they could be drawing funds from Switch Online to like do that if they were worried about that.
Or their DLC that they made.
Or their DLC, like, which would then begs the question: did Octo not sell that well? Like, I know Ninty aren't the type to. They don't like monetization, except for on mobile, where there's the only place they've been experimenting with this stuff. That Fire Emblem game is a bit rotten, could be a bit rotten. But yeah, it's still a bit of a bummer. I was kind of hoping they'd just roll with it, because like it's as Zach says, it's like they don't need to change anything. It's like Overwatch, just keep going, just keep putting more stuff in it. It's like, this game's great. It's still great. You have neglected Salmon Run far too much, people. Put your effort there, just for a bit. I think that really bothers people. Like Salmon Run.
Well, it bothers us.
Well, I mean,
apparently not enough people care, is what we've been.
Well, I don't know. But when Splatoon came out, like everyone, I don't know. There seemed to be a bit of a fervour around what Salmon Run was.
Well, there was a fervour around it, like
it was a new
at
feature.
The time.
Yeah, but
at the time, everyone was saying where it was like, this seems like a good idea, but it's got no content. And they were like, maybe they'll update it, and then they didn't.
And then they didn't.
Now no one cares.
Yeah, so maybe the player count has dropped off, and someone's misinterpreted that as, oh, no one really cares about Salmon Run. It's like, no, they did. You just didn't support it as well as you did the rest of the game. And I hope they learn from it. Well, but they probably won't, because it sounds like they've drawn the wrong conclusion. But maybe it's the right conclusion. Maybe it's just
they don't actually have that much development time to spare if they can't work on regular game and Salmon Run at the same time.
Yeah.
And they think that doing a whole section of Salmon Run would be too much.
But I don't think it's not like their update cycle has been slow. They've put quite a lot out over the last year.
Yeah, but again, it's like, here's a variation of a weapon that already exists, which is basically a skin, and we just gave it different sub-weapons that already exist in the game. That's about 2 minutes of work.
I mean, ignoring the weapon side, the weapons are, the majority of them, a bit cheap.
And quite a lot of maps that were still from Splatoon 1.
Yeah, but still, they still did it. They still probably had to be updated in some way. They did make changes to a couple of them.
Yeah. Probably the biggest updates were actually the ones that were Salmon Run, where they put whole new maps into that.
A whole new map. Well, 2 whole new maps, I guess.
3.
Was there 3? No, there's only 4, isn't there?
We've had this discussion before. Yeah. We always have to go through them. Like,
I think it launched with 2.
Yeah,
and they've over the year and a half added 2 more. Like, because was it the smoke yard,
slanty boat?
Yeah, you got slanty boat. The one
2 halves with the platforms.
That was the last one to get added. The one with the enclosure.
Yeah,
that was the 3rd one, and I can't remember what the second one is. But that's the one that comes up all the grills. Time. Yes, the grill one. Yeah. Maybe that is the smoke yard. I can't remember the names. Yeah, so that was in that was.
Maybe it's only 4 then.
Yeah, there is only 4.
I feel like maybe.
And they didn't mix up the mechanics of it that much.
No.
And they didn't, they throw in. Well, they did start throwing in the Grisco specific weapons, which was a nice addition. But they didn't throw in any new salmon waves or anything like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff they could have done.
There's so much they could have done. Yeah, it's a great mode. It's well thought out, and don't get me wrong, there's quite a lot of variety in it for something that actually doesn't have that much content. They've somehow made it work, but that means there's just so much more potential. Missed opportunity. Anyway, I'm a bit bummed that they're dropping it. Let's hope that means that they're moving on to maybe something that... I mean, I assume Monolith was probably getting called on to work on something else, which is why it's being... Maybe they need to help on Metroid or something, I don't know.
So I'm thinking about that. Maybe that will turn up in one of the last 2 directs of this year.
They've got to be saving that, right?
They haven't said anything about it.
No.
Even with Yoshi and Kirby, they came back again in subsequent directs before those came out.
Yoshi's Craft Adventure, whatever that is Craft Singles.
Yoshi's Cheese Land.
Yeah. I mean, at least is that this year, or is that a spring, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, I think it's next year.
Yeah, so at least we know what that is now, so there's not really much more to say about that, surely.
And that's all the games they've announced, right?
Yeah.
Apart from Animal Crossing now, I suppose. That can start getting updates, but probably not. That's probably got a couple of directs gap between before we'll see that again.
Yeah, you're right, that's it. We're at Metroid, we're at Yoshi, and we're at... Yeah, Animal Crossing, and that's it, really, after Smash.
And the theoretical Pokemon.
The
real Pokemon.
Yeah.
If that ever actually happens.
Which they haven't... If we were to
They've
go
never
by,
mentioned again.
yeah, if we were to go by official, like, direct, actual marketing channels, they've never explicitly said that that's coming.
Well, apart from the Pokemon guy, in that E3, that was his explicit saying that it was coming, and then it's never been heard from again.
Yeah. I don't even think I was in, like, a direct or anything. It was just, like...
It was at the E3
tweet,
direct.
or someone said it.
No, it was the E3 direct, where they're like, here's the guy in the Pokemon company, he's sitting at a desk, and it's a weird angle.
Oh, yes, you're right. I do remember that. Now. The weird angle did it. News!
And that's the end of the news.
Still don't know what those PlayStation Classic games are. They haven't talked
Or the
anymore
N64
about
one,
We'll find out, I'm sure. In time for Christmas.
I did look at that PlayStation Tour stuff from TGS, but I really can't remember. I mean, was it the Yakuza team? That hyper prolific Yakuza guys. Like they are actually making a new IP now that looks like it could be kind of badass. That's called Judge Eyes or something. Like it's basically
Judge Eyes.
Or Project Judge, as they called it in English. But like it looks a lot like Yakuza, but like you're a lawyer or potentially disgraced lawyer or something, and there's some punching and kicking. It looks quite cool. Like it's a much more serious game.
Or is it? Or they only showed the serious bits to start with before it's like, we're still the Yakuza team, guys. We still do the same thing where we just make weird things happen in this open world.
And I think there was some stuff like Sony are still going to do some. They are still supporting PlayStation VR, because of course they are, which is good of them. They're doing Astro, I think it was called. Where it's like a little. It's their version of Super Lucky's Tale, basically. Just they're using like a little robot, and it's a VR platformer. It actually looks kind of cool.
Supporting VR with VR platform is the clearly best use of VR ever.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like, well, I guess you're just sort of at a fixed point camera, and I've never actually seen how that moves between like scenes, like how a fixed point sequence just cuts to somewhere else. Does it just hard cut, like a Resident Evil camera, or does it? I don't really know. Also, if you haven't watched it, the English dub, because obviously it was a Japanese thing. They had like the setup for it is like spaceship DualShock flying through the galaxy, and the 4 face buttons are like the crew,
right?
But they're like talking at you through like I assume in the Japanese these were all proper voice acted and stuff like that. But for the English version, they had like one guy doing all 4 voices, and it's pretty special. It's worth watching just to laugh at. Like, get the idea of it and then don't watch the rest. News! I'll say it again.
Say it to end it.
Truly,
well,
I say
it's
to you.
time for what you've been playing. Pause.
Go on.
What you've been playing, Robe.
Me? Right. I gotta get this off my chest. I finished Final Fantasy 15 story.
I noticed that you got like 3 achievements very quickly.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Rob started the story grind. He's just going to get through it.
Well, because basically there becomes so there comes a point where you basically leave the open world section of the game behind.
As they keep doing in these games. Or sometimes you come to the open world section, sometimes you leave it.
Yeah. It's like, so, and then the whole thing starts to feel very Final Fantasy 13 in a way. It just sort of flipped in reverse. It's like, instead of going to the open world bit towards the end of the game, it's like the open world bit is the majority of the game, and there's a bit of 13's linearity at the end. And it's like, and this is where for me, this whole game started to fall apart real fast. Like, by the time I started doing this, it's really disappointing, is all I would say. Like,
does it feel like the situation that some other games, like, you know, Metal Gear Solid 5 have had, where it's like, did they not finish the game?
So
is that what's actually happened here?
It has got the hallmarks of development hell, where so the overall theme of what I'm about to describe is that the game, it feels, there's a lot of really good ideas here. There's a lot of really great concepts. I just don't think they execute very well at all. Like, so the bit where you first leave, right, spoilers, I suppose, here we go. The bit where you first leave the open world, you go to a water-based town, which is incredibly pretty to look at and things like that. But you're not there for there's nothing really to do there. You wander around, you see a few shops, you see a clearly like another bit of product placement. There's a side quest to go look at the Vivienne Westwood wedding dress that Luna would have worn had the wedding taken place.
Right.
That's not quite as cheesily done as the cup noodles quest. So it's not quite so bad as that. But you still have to go wander and do a thing. And this is really quite big area that all you can really do is wander around in. And then there's like a I don't know, you find like a mini game like that I guess is like the game's like callback to things like Blitzball or like or Chocobo racing or something. There's always like a little thing on the side you can do in every fun. And this time it's like a gladiatorial arena where they just put various monster groups together and you have to bet on which monster group is going to win the fight and things like that. And it's like, I figured, okay, you've just introduced something I can come back to and like spend money on and things like that, because there's stuff to win using the special betting tokens, but the cost of them is so astronomically high that you either have to make a ridiculous amount of money and just buy your way to this thing, or put a lot of time and be really, really good at this betting game to get crazy money out of it. And it seems like it would take forever to do that way. So I played a few rounds and left it alone, and it's like, do the thing. And then the next part of the story basically means, that place gets kind of destroyed. So you're never going to go back to that. You're like, unless you use like a what is conveniently revealed later. It's like, your Luna's magic dog can go back in time, so you can go do these things again and go to these places again. And it's like, okay, right. So in the story, there's no point in going back to this place, because it gets, and this is where like this for some reason seems to be the phrase that was going through my head a lot, like most of this like rest of the game, where it's like, right, for some reason you've got to summon Leviathan and get it on your side, except Leviathan's real angry and makes you fight it, except the Empire are there as well and they're sort of fighting it and sort of not, and then Luna dies for some reason, and then what's the point of what we're doing? Like, what's going on? Now Ignis is blind for some reason, meaning I've now got to, like, that happened off screen, so now I've got to like walk around really slowly to wait for him to catch up. What's going on? Was basically my opinion. Why is all this happening? It's like I'm six. Oh, what was it? How far was I in at that point? Like 40 hours, maybe. I'm 40 hours into this game, and I have no idea what's going on. I don't understand the story. I don't understand the point of what's going on. I don't understand why any of this happened. I don't know why I can fly for a moment.
You can always teleport around. That's always the same.
Yeah, but now you're actually just straight up flying in what is an awful bit of fighting. Like, and I'm just like, I do not. And the rest of the game kind of plays out in a similar way. It's like, well, that just happened. And then like everyone's a bit, you end up with the sort of emo moment where everyone's then angry with each other. So it's like suddenly the camaraderie stuff of you and your buddies is all messed up for a while. So you're not even getting enjoyment from that. And then it goes into some of the worst dungeons in the game then follow, where it's just like, go to place, get thing, it will open door, go to other place, get thing, it will open more doors, keep going, and it goes on for far too long. And I'm still not really learning what the point is during all of this. And and then you do eventually, like towards the very end, start learning a little bit, and where I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm starting to piece together how this actually comes together. All right, you're just doing a late reveal, but not all of it. And you still end up going, like, after 60 hours of gameplay, getting to the end and going, like, this is supposed to be really dramatic, but I could not care less. like I have no idea like who I should be rooting for. I have no idea like
investment in the
yeah,
and
it's just
what's going on.
It's such a bummer because it's like there are clearly moments in the story where you sit here and you're thinking this is supposed to have weight. They're putting a lot of like anguish on this character's face, and like, but I don't understand like why this ring I'm wearing is a bit like the One Ring. It's like and it's like kind of difficult to put on my finger for some reason. Like, what's that about? And like I don't even know what the ring does. I don't get it. And like, it's just and there's quite a lot of those where there's like overly melodramatic scenes that just don't land. And it's like, is there like, am I missing something? Is there some extra info that was supposed to have gone in here? It has all the hallmarks of something that at one point made sense, but it's been cut and moved about and chopped and changed and like perhaps designed by committee or something at some point when none of it works anymore. The quality of the parts does not combine well at all. And it's a real bummer. So I come out the back end, like having finished it, just going, all right, I guess.
Did it make more sense than Final Fantasy X's story?
No.
Okay.
I kind of put Final Fantasy X stories as bonkers, but at least you sort of follow it.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Though it is rather abrupt.
Yeah, but you can follow it. Like this, this relies. Like, so I went and watched some stuff afterwards. I went and like did some research and then be like, okay, what am I missing? Like, it can't be. There must be more to it than that. There's clearly some details I'm missing or something I didn't see. And it's like, yeah, there is. In the film and anime series, it's like, had I watched those, I think things would have made a whole lot more sense. But it's just like, no, I'm not doing that, man.
No,
it's like, you've got to make your game stand alone.
It's got to.
Yeah. The anime's meant to come afterwards.
Yeah, so I think the anime might be
stuff, right? Yeah, should be.
I think there's a 10-year time skip at one point, and like I think the anime might take place during that time skip or something like that. And there are moments where the characters just sort of wander off or get. There is one in particular where Gladio just sort of wanders off, and you go, "That'll be the DLC then. That'll be episode Gladio." And it's just like, all right, whatever. And it's just handled badly. And I think that's true of the combat as well. Like it gets more frantic and more mad as it goes on, but it's just not. The boss fights in particular just aren't executed well. They're not a great deal of fun. Excuse me, my stomach's having a bit of an aversion to all this.
Food talk.
Yeah. It's like there's large portions of the boss fights where it's like I actually don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. What's the effective way to kill this guy? And most of it seems to be rely around get to a point where you can block and parry an attack, and then that'll put them in a vulnerable state where you can actually do damage. But sometimes finding when that block point is quite tricky. It's like, how did I trigger that? Okay, how can I make him do that again? Do I just not? Do I just wait it out until he does it? And I'm dying a lot, but I can just keep popping elixirs and be fine. So it's not like there's any real challenge here. It's not like I'm going to die. I haven't game overed in the entire time of playing this thing. I've never lost ever because it's just impossible. Like you get knocked out and it's like, I'm just going to pop an elixir. I'll be fine. I've got a billion Phoenix Downs. I'm good. There's like
that's not. Right.
No, I mean, I said this before about the combat, and that there's only been like a couple of fights where I felt I've actually had to modify my loadout to deal with it more effectively. And that one of those times was the one I talked about, the snake boss in the one of the terrible dungeons, the sewers. And the second time was when I faced that enemy again later. The same enemy. Just sort of like, all right, I might actually need to put some toad protection on me to deal with this. It's just didn't land. Didn't stick the landing. Like, I don't know. It's just such a bummer after they get some things right. Like, I'm not going to go into the detail of it here, but it's like the actual once you've got the whole picture of the story, you understand that there could have been something great here. You understand why they put it in a Final Fantasy game, and like but why it could have been something special. It's it's a tale of betrayal and gods and getting people on your side and and your ancestors past catching up with you and things like that. There's actually quite a lot of goodness here, but you just didn't show it. You didn't tell me any of that. And it's fortunately, like as I said, if I wanted to, I can now go back to the open world and just do the road trip stuff as if none of that rest of the story ever happened.
Yeah. Okay.
And that, that's where, in fairness, that is the majority of the playtime of the game, and that is where the majority of the good stuff is.
The good stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe put some time in, mess around in the open world, and never finish it. Maybe that's my advice. Just don't get invested in the story and dick around in the world. There you go.
It's going to disappoint you.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It's possibly. I mean, yeah. No, I'm going to say it. It's the worst storytelling I've ever seen in a Final Fantasy game, and I've played 13 and 13 too.
Right.
Well, that's 7.
I mean, 7's convoluted, but the story makes sense.
13.3.
Ish. I feel like I followed it. 13.2 is just madness. In fairness, it's like it's time traveling nonsense that doesn't actually have a great deal of story.
Isn't there a 13.3?
You still end up. There is a 13.3 technically.
Yeah.
Lightning Returns.
Lightning Returns.
The costumery of Doom, which I have and I haven't played.
Right.
But
well, that's disappointing.
It's a bummer. I probably will go back and do the DLCs because they are. You get a little taste of it towards the end of the game, like where you take control of the other characters for a bit in a sort of show of solidarity, I suppose, of the other teammates, and they do control differently. They do have different abilities and things like that, and it's so if the DLC like ramps up on that could be interesting. So yeah, they're at least mechanically different. So we'll see. No rush on that. I think I've got to the point where I get with a lot of games where it's like, well, I finished the story. I'm going to leave it installed for a while I do other things,
and then not go back.
If I come back to it, great. But if I don't, uninstall.
Then I don't. Yeah,
I'm done.
Cool.
Yeah, or not.
Or not. How is Spider-Man?
Spider-Man, conversely, is good.
It's a good game.
It's good. Boy, you can tell this game's got money behind it.
Yeah?
I mean, you can with Final Fantasy, but, like, well-spent money.
Right, okay. Lavishly spent money.
Lavishly spent money. It's
let's get some animators and pay them some money to make things look nice.
Yeah.
Let's get some artists.
I've been wondering about where to actually start with this description, like on what it is. It's like, I suppose the obvious question is, does it swing good? And it's like, yes, it does. It swings real good.
Does it make you feel like Spider-Man? Lol.
I mean,
have you heard about this?
No. What exactly do you mean?
Well, it's been a cliche. Obviously, that's a cliche, but like I can't remember.
Like be the Tomb Raider thing.
Yeah.
Be the Batman.
It's like the IGN review says makes you feel like Spider-Man about 7 times in about 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
7 out of 10 times.
Exactly. Yeah. Every review says it in some way or another. Well, not every, but yeah.
It's not really something I think to say when I'm describing it. I don't really feel like the character because I'm sat here with a controller.
It's a really weird thing to say, but yeah.
I mean, maybe that's something you might say if it was like VR swinging. I don't know,
but you swing good.
It's phrased wrong. It's like you don't feel like Spider-Man. Spider-Man feels like Spider-Man. That's what it's actually meant to say. That's like the character is actually represented in the way it should be.
That's definitely a more accurate way of saying it.
Spider-Man feels like Spider-Man. Well, that's good.
I mean, it's really cool because it does it gets the obvious thing about the swing mechanics right, in that web has to attach to something.
Yeah.
Because they finally got the technology to be able to do that now.
It just figures it out. And
looking at the footage for me, it's like I have to play it to see how it feels. But for me, it's like I can see that the web thread goes to an actual building. That's good. But then when it swings, it doesn't seem to follow the laws of physics where you swing towards the pivot point.
Yeah, so
you seem to just go forwards.
It's
like,
really
what?
it's really generous, is what I would say. There are moments where it does feel like it's like swinging you a little bit, and it's to your advantage. So you can like wrap it around a building a little bit to turn a corner and things like that.
I want to be going sort of swinging left to right as I go across,
it's not
down the street.
I think you're right. I think they could have done a little
bit of zigzag,
been a little less generous with how guided the swinging is. It's like, unless he's got some sort of it's automatically retracting or pulling him in to make him swing in a straight line for his ease, because it's sort of following the
it would be repelling
the new idea
that work, right? Sorry.
Something like that.
Pulling, because pulling is easy, right?
Well, surely if you're going in a straight line, it would be reeling you in and then letting you out a bit to just keep something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how it would work, but anyway, yeah. But it's equivalent to being on monkey bars, right? But with really long arms, basically.
I guess,
right?
Yeah.
And that are spread really far apart. You have, yeah.
Whatever the case, it works because, it looks good. It feels good. When you get to the top of the buildings, and there's nothing else around, you're not going to be able to swing off them. You've really got to dive back into the city, which always feels cool.
Awesome.
And you've got one exception, I think, which is when you press X, you do a web zip where he basically he'll propel himself forwards. Yeah, just directly forwards, and I guess the assumption is that he's grabbing something and somehow using that to propel himself forward, which doesn't make a great deal of sense sometimes, given where he is. It animates well, but it doesn't necessarily look all that realistic. But
right, yeah, that's fine.
It's useful as a get out in some areas, I don't know, Central Park, where there might not be all that tall stuff, and you're having to use the trees to swing around at incredibly low, weird angles.
Right.
Or one of the side missions where you're literally swinging around on low cranes over the water where there really isn't very much to swing from, and and that's actually kind of the difficulty of it. It's cool. Forcing you to do things like that.
Sounds cool.
And it's generally very well done. It takes a little while. I occasionally get it wrong because you've got other controls as well. If you hit a building, for instance, and you're still holding R2 to swing, it goes into parkour mode. Right. So he'll suddenly start just running up the building, which is fun.
Right. You don't slam into the building.
No, he'll adjust it, and he'll adjust to it, and it's and then you'll be wall running and something, and then you've got a button to do a corner traversal whilst you're wall running, and he'll use a bit of web to swing him round, and then he's swung around the corner, and you're back into web swinging mode, and it's the whole thing has a flow to it that's pretty neat.
Nice. Makes you feel
and he animates super well whilst doing all of this as well. It's incredible. Just how it all comes together. And the majority of the game, this is Insomniac's bag, right? Insomniac do traversal.
Yeah,
they've kind of always done this, from the Infamous games up to what was it? But Sunset Overdrive was the last thing they did, and that was all about traversal as well as the shooting.
It's the perfect marriage of a team and a franchise,
they know what they're doing. And so the majority of the game is about the traversal. They clearly focus on it as most of our missions are going to be swing from here to here, do a thing on the way, and stuff like that. Which they do quite a lot of variety for in terms of setting, I suppose, and why you're doing these things. Not a lot of it makes a great deal of sense. I'm just going to say right now, the whole Peter Parker as a scientist, there's some dubious science going on.
Comic book science.
Oh yeah, it's all nonsense. It's the vast majority of it is nonsense. But whatever, I guess. Swing through clouds of smog to collect samples so we know what car is giving out bad emissions, and then swing near that car, taking a photo as you swing past in slow motion, and then there's now we know that it's this make and model of the car, and now I'll submit my report. And
okay, classic science.
Classic science.
That's how research is done, isn't it?
It's everything seems to be based on the fact that Spidey's suit can do everything. like everything. It's like, and you want to see where a subway car is going using X-ray vision? Yeah, you can do that. You want to analyze substances on the fly by swinging through them? Yeah, you can do that. You want to accurately track the position of a pigeon? Yeah, you can do that. It's like it's clearly following like the Tony Stark gave you a suit, I suppose, like version of Spider-Man.
Right, but Peter Parker's a genius on his own right, surely.
Yeah, maybe, but this, like, I don't know. But yeah, I guess he is a genius, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. This seems like some Iron Man stuff.
Right, yeah.
I mean, maybe he came up with it, but it just seems nuts. I mean, I assume there's no mention of like Stark or any of that stuff. Avengers Tower is there, and there's an achievement for getting to the top of it.
All right,
So,
yeah.
which I haven't done yet, but it's there. You can do it. Yeah, so that's really good. The game looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really beautiful. It's just they do some really clever tricks to give things like.
Did you get a Pro or a standard PS4?
I've got a Pro.
Yeah,
so I've been playing it on that. And in fairness to it, though, like actually, like I've seen some comparison stuff between the regular version and the Pro version. It's like they're really quite close.
Yeah.
Like the Pro version clearly has some better texture stuff in places and has some better, you know, it runs. I think it chooses to do the higher internal resolution thing and super sample. For me, as I'm playing in 1080. So you know, I think if I had a regular PS4, I really wouldn't be noticing too much of a difference. It's like they haven't gone overboard with it, and it's like, you know, if you've got a regular PS4, that's no reason to make you not get the game. For instance, it's like just do it. You won't be missing out. But yeah, it's really clever. Like some of the for taking they use a technique for modeling inside of windows. Like for modelling actually the what rooms that could be in there to give like the buildings a bit of depth, I suppose, rather than just.
Oh yeah,
like,
I've seen this technique. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really cool. Only if you get right up close to it and you examine it, it's like you can clearly tell that it's a fakery of some kind, like some kind of projected 3D image onto the surface.
It's a special kind of texture technique. Yeah. Yeah,
it's really clever and it does work. But like occasionally you'll notice it's like, hey, there's 2 notice boards in it. Oh wait, there's only 1 notice board in this. Oh, if I swap between windows, suddenly like the perspective changes in a weird way. Oh, and there's a door in this room that clearly just goes out into space.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like the classic one is like on the corner, right?
Yeah.
Look, go around the corner.
There'll be a doorway, and it's like there's no doorway there.
Yeah.
But you know, as you're just swinging around, and if you're not paying attention to it, it's really effective.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. It's a nice trick, and it gives, you know, because everything was just shiny, reflective glass in all cities before now. So using this really adds quite a bit of depth.
And it's got. And I put this like the quality of visuals down. You know, and I'll say that their characterizations is like, it doesn't. I think they followed. I'm not quite sure where they've got the look of their characters from. Whether this is an original take or whether this is more based on the artwork of the comics or not. I'm not really sure. I think it's somewhere in the middle. Like it's their take of the comics, maybe that way round. But it's. Or some version of it, but it's like so they sort of all there's a look to it, I guess is what I'm trying to mean. Like the way the characters' faces look and the way they move, they're like stylized in a certain way. In the good side of uncanny, they don't quite cross into uncanny. I don't think they're like quite. It's hard to describe. It's like it's good enough, right? I think is what I mean. It's like it's not Uncharted levels of quality, but it's like they do their thing pretty well. And it works because like all the writing is really solid, all the acting is especially solid. The cutscenes themselves are very filmic, and it's like they use the word filmic to describe some of their looks and their filters in their photo mode and things like that. They're clear that that's what they're going for, and it's all just incredibly well done. What I would say though is I think like in terms of the storytelling, I think what they trailed or what they've shown us in trailers is a lot further into the game than we thought.
Right.
Oh, excuse me. Throat's getting raspy. Talking too much. So that do you remember that sequence on the raft where everyone's like breaking out?
Yeah, well, that's going to be fairly late game. That's like all the villains.
So that's what I mean. It's like you don't trail a late game story moment in that much detail.
I assumed that was
normally.
the opening when I saw it.
Yeah, it's not. It's
right.
I reckon I'm nearly half. I'm not super all the way through. I reckon I'm about nearly halfway through. It has got like a campaign progress percentage, and I think I'm like at 40 something.
I thought it would be like the cliched, like, this
everyone's out
cleaning
Spider-Man.
up. Yeah, clean them up. You caught them all before. Now they've all escaped.
Yeah, a bit like Batman City.
Like Arkham Asylum. Yeah, or Arkham City.
Yeah, any of those really. Yeah, it's not. I haven't seen that sequence yet. In fairness, it's not long ago that I did the helicopter chase that we also saw at E3.
Yeah, that was cool.
So I'm a little bit disappointed in that, in the sense that it's like I'm not disappointed in the way in the actual how the game's turned out. I'm just I think that was a bad move,
right?
To show that sequence.
Too much, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it got people hyped, I suppose. Anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think it would have been made a lot more impact had I like suddenly stumbled on. Oh, now all these guys are a problem. Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
Nice twist, game.
That's one thing actually, like God of War has done well, because all you really saw was the opening part, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't.
There's a lot of shit they could have showed. Believe me.
I haven't really seen many of the visuals for like even like later on in the game.
Yeah.
Like for instance, it's like they kept that. They just positioned it really well.
Yeah, they did.
And I think they did a similarly great job of Horizon from some of the stuff I know about that game. Like you know, they don't necessarily let on the bigger picture of the world from their marketing, and stuff like that. And this just seems a bit mishandled, which is a shame because it's a genius game so far. I would say it pains me to say it a little bit, but I do think the combat is actually possibly the weakest element of the.
Yeah, I was wondering that, but like, it's not.
Well,
it's
actually, it's not
good,
the weakest.
It's
like,
not
I would say the
right?
weakest. Yeah, let me come back on that a little bit. Like, I think the weakest element of the game is sometimes over reliance on puzzle sequences and how they pace it at the start of the game.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't know, there's some sciencey stuff, like, and it's like, here, play Pipe Dream. Here.
Right, okay, that sucks. You can skip. You can even skip that stuff. All right, I heard.
I think there's a couple of mandatory ones.
Oh, right, okay.
Here and there.
My brother was saying that it offers you to skip the pipe dream sections, and you're like, well, why did you put them in there then? If you were embarrassed by the
I don't think I've seen that
so much that you offer the option to skip them.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that. I don't think I've seen the option to skip. Maybe that's like if you're playing on a lower difficulty or something. Or...
But I mean, these mini games never. I mean, even BioShock, that
was Pipe Dream. Yeah,
yeah, it was Pipe Dream. I mean, the only good one is like they put a lot of effort into that one for Deus Ex for the hacking, and the Human Revolution one, and that was good, but probably not as much of a payoff as it was. Probably effort went into making it. You know. I don't know if it was worth it. I don't know what you think, Zeg.
Yeah, I mean, they had to do something, I guess.
I guess.
Or, well, maybe they didn't.
Maybe they didn't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If you think about the original Deus Ex, you just find everyone's passwords everywhere.
Yeah, or you just wait, like, while it does a stupid Matrix animation. And that worked fine. I mean, I don't want to play Pipe Dream in the middle of my Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's overused overall. It's just that it's a little bit front loaded early on. It's
fair.
I'll do some Pipe Dream, do some Spectrograph, like put these tiles on to make these lines match up puzzles, and it's like it's the other thing it does, and it's just like it subjects you to those pretty early, and it's just like, oh, okay, I didn't really realize this was going to be part of the game, but let's do this. And that's got less frequent as it's gone on, for sure. But occasionally comes up, and it's like, and that's fine. Yes, let's curtail it back around to the combat. In that, I'm having a hard time getting a grip of it. If I'm honest, it's like it's not. I don't find it quite so flowing, I suppose, as a Batman style combat system normally is. It's a lot more frantic. It's a lot more.
Yeah.
The frame of action, I suppose, the amount of space an action sequence can take is way bigger. Than the Batman games, where everything's quite closed and close, I suppose is the word I'm looking for. It's like, it's not that. This is big.
So you're zipping around the warehouse, shooting from different angles and stuff.
Yeah,
that sounds cool to me. If they,
I mean, it is.
Right.
But like sometimes, like spotting when something I mean, you're basically relying entirely on this little spidey sense indicator that's above your head.
Spidey sense,
like, and you're waiting for that to appear, and then you're pressing circle to dodge.
Counter, right? Dodge. Yeah.
And then you're mashing stuff out like to get out of the way. But that happens like all the time. If you're on the ground, for instance, there's like any number of people can be attempting to melee attack you at once, and I think you're a little bit animation delayed, so you can't just dodge at any time. I think you have to be being a little bit careful with it. But the hits are so fast sometimes that it's just like, okay, you get into sort of like an accidental mash rhythm, and you're like, and then when you actually do have to dodge, you're like, oh god, oh no, and it doesn't come out right because you've already mashed to go into an attack and things like that.
Okay,
and it's that said, there is a lot you can do. Like, you press triangle to zip to an enemy, so you press it in a direction and press triangle, you'll go to him like immediately.
Cool.
And start doing things. If you hold triangle, you attach to him and you can pull him towards you, and later you get the ability to rip the weapons out of their hands doing that. If you've webbed them up and then you do that, you get the ability to throw them around the place, using them as a weapon themselves, using the person as a weapon.
Sweet.
Which is kind of fun. It's got the Batman. It's got a bit of the Batman combo system, but not quite. So, like, whilst you're building a combo, you're building a focus meter. If you lose your combo, you don't lose your focus. But when your focus meter reaches a certain point, you can then do a finisher if you want. To take a guy out of combat immediately, which is great because you can build it up and then use it on some of the tougher enemies and just make sure they're out of the picture. And so you can use the minions, I guess, to build up your focus again and do it again.
And use it on the big guy, yeah.
But it has a double use in that you can instead trade in your focus for health if you want. So if
bit like Wipeout.
Kinda, yeah, because you don't survive very long. Like, if you're getting hit, you're taking a lot of damage. Right, so you've got to be thinking, if things are going well, yeah, sure, keep your focus, but like, do you want to actually cash that in for a finisher? Most of the time I'm thinking, maybe not. This is kind of a difficult fight. I probably need to save it lest I get messed up a little bit. And I'm going to have to cash that in for health because, it's a little tricky. Things are, when I said it's frantic, it is fast. It's like things are just happening. Like, there might be a rocket, people shooting at you whilst you're fighting at another guy. And, I think it does a pretty good job of like indicating when you're being shot at because it puts a really big like web line on screen to the guy that's going to shoot at you, and it will turn red when he's actually firing.
Yeah, and
that's the moment you've got to dodge.
Makes it super clear, right?
Yeah, but but that still doesn't mean that it's any easier to actually do. But yeah, I think the number of moves at your disposal. I love when accidental cool stuff happens. Like, I don't know, you dodge an attack, but you dodge into a wall, he'll then attach to the wall, and then your next attack will be him flying off the wall into someone. And it's like, when that all comes together, it looks super cool.
Nice.
But yeah, it's really great. When it's going well, I think the fight looks really great. When it starts going bad, I think you end up spiraling a bit into badness. Also, I think like if you're doing a chase sequence and you're being shot at during a chase sequence, I think the air dodge that you have, where you can press circle or just dodge fire coming at you, I don't think that works very well. Like, maybe I'm just doing it wrong or getting the timing wrong the entire time, but I haven't got the feel for it really. And that's true of all the combat really. I don't think I'm particularly great at the combat side of it. I think it's going to be one of those things that I'm just going to get through for now, and then come back to some of the challenge stuff and some of the bigger fights and do them better. Give them a retry and do them better once I've leveled up a bit or something like that. Got a bit stronger. Or just got a bit more skilled. I think a lot of these you can do, like a lot of the challenges you can do at any time. You just have to be skilled. And it's like, I've not got that yet. I've not nailed it. Which is great, because it means there's something I can improve on. But also it means it's just not quite so natural. And yeah, I think that's where I stand with it. Oh, I did manage to crash it within the first 5 minutes, though. That happened.
Oh, how'd you manage that?
There was a sequence that basically broke. Like, it was like, oh, you're lifting some rubble off some dudes, mash square now, and I mash square and I get to meet the target. Nothing happens. I'm just stood there holding this rubble. Forever. It's like, it's not like it froze or fully crashed out. It just sequence broke. Like, nothing happened.
Right.
Yeah.
restart.
Yeah. Past that point, I haven't really had any problems at all. It's pretty great.
Spiderman.
Oh, it did spoil itself at one point. As in,
Spoiled itself?
I mean, if you know the characters, this isn't a spoiler, I suppose. Anyway,
Well,
but I'm not going to say it just in case. But
Yeah.
like, there was a point where the bio page on the game revealed who one of the bad guys was before I've encountered them,
Okay.
and revealed the identity of them as well. And it's like, I'd kind of guessed, but it hadn't been explicitly said yet.
Right.
And it's just like, oh, you've just done that. Oh, okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
So if you don't go look at the bio page, and I recommend that you don't,
Then you'll be fine.
then you'll be fine. Like, yeah, it just pops a little early. Yeah, so a strange one. Mismarketed, but a great game
But
so
great.
far.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to playing that when at some point in the future when I run out of games to play after Red Dead, which is going to be a while.
Yeah, it is really good. It's like it's making me feel good about my purchase. Anyway, about finally dipping into PlayStation.
Can't go wrong.
It's a really good
games.
place to start.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else on your plate? They're the two main ones, right? They're pretty big.
Not really. I've just been sort of grinding those out.
Yeah. Sweet. So it's time for Zeg's turn.
Well, we've been playing Rocket League, and you've been playing Rocket League by yourself as well.
I mean, yeah, but
we've got to get that Rocket Pass.
I mean, yeah, I didn't really have anything particularly to add to it, though, at this point. Yeah. I've just been playing a lot. I've been trying to play more of it, anyway. I don't know, like, if I've got a bit of time before work starts, I'll get, like, a couple of games in, like, at 8 in the morning or something.
Because you can.
Because I can.
That's something that's actually Rocket League is good at, I guess.
Yeah, just get a couple of quick games in. It's pretty good for that. Don't really have a short time game on the go at the moment, actually.
They have a Rob tactic.
Yeah.
I think maybe, I haven't actually checked, but I'm pretty sure that I've now played Rocket League more than Team Fortress 2.
Really? Wow, that took a
Holy
lot less
shit.
time, though, right?
It took a lot less time in real time. Oh, I mean, obviously it took the same amount of time in game time, but it took, like, the reason I didn't play, there was, like, periods I didn't play TF2 because nothing was changing in it, basically.
Right, yeah.
It was like, whereas in Rocket League it's not changed at all, but it's just, you can just, that's enough, I guess. I mean,
What?
that's why I put so much time into TF2 at the start. It was like, it was
exciting.
they didn't need all that extra content that they eventually added. It was like, it was enough by itself.
Well, and
Yeah.
the promise of where they were going with their extra content at first was really, it was something to talk about, right? It's like oh, the NG pack's coming,
Yeah.
and like, oh, the
Yeah,
Pyro
yeah.
pack's coming. It's like, this stuff's awesome.
And then it's all hats.
And there was all hats,
But yeah. I
and
think-
not enough new levels. And
well, some of it. But yeah, I think Rocket League is just. I was thinking about it again because it's just like it's the different time investment where in TF2 you can play tons of rounds in a row and you don't realise how long they are, whereas in Rocket League you play tons of rounds in a row and you forget how short they are.
yeah,
It's the exact opposite problem but the same result.
Rocket League has the one more game problem, right? For sure, because they're so short.
Yeah.
It's
Problem?
it's weird. So what? I mean, we're talking thousands of hours for you, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, mine's pretty high.
It's like
but
2,000,
like-
isn't it? How many hours does it say?
Somewhere around that.
Yeah, that's madness. I mean, mine's not hasn't overtaken TF2 yet. But, I think I've got quite a way to go for that. But yeah, I think even my playtime's a lot higher than the further we took at TF2 with. And I feel like I used to have more time for it back then as well. And it's like, what? How have we done this in some ways? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember how we played that much TF2 with both of us. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I played that much TF2.
I agree.
But I don't know how we both played TF2.
I mean, I think TF2 still is my most played game ever still. Like, just in terms of raw hours.
I guess at some point, going back much further, TF2 was what we played instead of Battlefield. Battlefield was the original version of that.
Yeah, true.
the game we played online.
Although I don't think we played that anywhere near as much as this. Like even if that had a time counter,
I don't know.
we played a lot too. I suppose.
Yeah, we played a fucking lot too.
We played even. Oh, I think we might have played even more of 21.
Yeah, probably.
But I still don't think it adds up to how much we've played TF2. Not even close. Not even.
But the rounds in Battlefield were even longer than Team Fortress.
I know. But I think that might have been the problem, right? Why we didn't play it like every day or whatever.
So, yeah, more Rocket League.
You're on your way to the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours.
Not really.
What, to master something, is it?
Yeah, to master something, yeah.
Yeah.
You have, like, super generalise it and say, I've mastered video games. I've probably played 10,000 hours of any game.
That's true, in that sense.
Yeah, you know what? I bet me wonders if that's even true.
What, the 10,000 hour thing? No,
I think for you it must be. But I'm sort of sitting there going, actually, is that true? That still seems like a lot.
You know, I think I might even be getting close to 2,000 in Factorio now.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, you'll definitely add up to 10,000.
Yeah, you will easily, but that's disturbing in itself.
Factorio doesn't even have rounds. No time to elimination in that.
Yeah.
You just go.
Forever.
So I played some more of that, I guess.
Of course.
Yeah. Although, it's reached that same situation with Factorio where it's like, I don't want to start playing it until I want to play it for a long period of time because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get anything done in like half an hour.
It's definitely one of those.
I have to remember what I'm even doing and then I have to like construct a whole plan.
It's a working day.
Yeah. Can't do that.
Yeah, getting in the morning, check your Factorio email, do your Factorio stand-up, check your Factorio Jira board for all of your Factorio tasks.
So that's almost, that would almost be helpful. That would almost be helpful. I'm, hoping that I'm nearly done with what I guess was the third design of this factory, which I thought was going to be the final design, but then I, as usual, built it and then discovered all the problems with it. And I was like, well, yep, okay, got a design 4 coming, I suppose, but I must be nearly done with design 3 now.
You'd be great at electrical engineering for buildings. just saying, putting electrical systems into buildings, and then the patterns.
You're already doing electrical safety testing, right?
Yeah. 100% better than that. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, but the trouble is, in real life, you don't have infinite time.
I guess.
No, you're getting paid by the hour.
Yeah, I suppose.
The more time you spend, the more money you get.
You just have to become top of your game and slow down.
Like all builders.
Yeah.
Extra slow.
Yeah.
Milk that money.
Tea breaks. And you'd have the best possible kettle for the tea breaks, so
yeah.
So you'd have done all the research. It'd be perfect.
What's this kettle charge for? It's how much time it took me to buy a kettle.
Kettle R&D is part of the bill.
But yeah, I would guess the main thing that's going to happen in Factorio is now that I've got basically a factory that can make all the components. So at this point, it should just be like one more design, and then you just build it, and then hopefully be done. Hopefully. And I theoretically have got all of the technology I need. Like, I've done all the research now once I've rebuilt the labs. So I theoretically can do the end game. It's just that with the current design of my factory, I'd be doing it so slow. Although that still might be worth doing, because it'd be like running in the background while I'm doing other things into this final design. I don't know. But then that's the trouble with Factorio, is like the whole point of automation, where it's like, you can automate things, but if you automate them slowly, and that like makes you think that it's happening, but it's not happening as well as it could be, and then you're like, I could redesign this, or I could just wait. And it's just like, that's not a good idea. Actually go and do the thing. Don't just sit there and wait extra long for something that you theoretically could. But then, of course, the question is like, would you spend longer redesigning it and rebuilding it than it would take to just do it slowly?
Right.
Just like real life. Is it worth bothering to spend the time fixing a thing, or is it better to just leave it and just have it continuously run during the time when you would be turning it off, essentially?
Can you afford to reinvest
Yeah.
in retrofitting your current building to do something else? Hey, they do that. They did that at the Adnams Brewery recently. I went on the tour last week, this weekend, yesterday, in fact.
Last week, this weekend, yesterday.
Time.
Technically all true.
Well, yeah, they just completely had to refit the entire thing and take the roof off and stuff like that. It's like that must be a difficult decision to make. It's we've got to replace all our kit.
But it's not like that's the only one they have.
I think it is. Adnams is it's all done in Bury. Yeah. Not
they
Bury, Southwell.
They probably didn't do it all at once. They probably didn't shut down the entire factory. They probably did it in sections.
Maybe, but I don't know how you would. It's like they've only got one brewery line. It's like there's one vat for every job.
Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe that doesn't take them offline for as long when it's a brewing thing, because there's still a time period of the brewing, I guess. Maybe you can get away with sneaking in upgrades during, and have it take slightly longer overall.
Yeah, maybe you just miss a week or something.
Yeah.
Depending on, I don't know.
Or maybe you overstock or something.
No, I imagine that's how it's done.
Yeah. So that's that. I also started playing because it updated. I went back to Rise to Ruins, that mysterious town builder / tower defense game.
Yeah. I saw you play that quite a bit.
Yeah. They've introduced a meta game layer to it now, which makes it more like a functional overarching game rather than an individual map.
So is this still early access?
Yeah.
Okay.
So previously you had the world map and it was basically just a fancy level select screen. It showed you the world and it showed you where the maps fit in the context of this world, but it didn't actually have any significance. The maps were just individual things and you just built a town on and that was it. But now they've added the metagame layer to it, where now you choose your first map, but then from then on you have to spread to adjacent maps. So you actually have to build up your town to a sufficient point and then send migrants out to the adjacent maps to start those. And then to go with that, there's an overall corruption level of the world that determines how fast and how much the enemies spawn. And that goes up over time, but then founding new towns pushes it down a little bit. And then even further than that, you also have goals or missions that unlock over time, where it's do a specific thing, sometimes in a specific town or sometimes just overall, where it's make 400 axes or build 5 buildings in this one specific map or whatever. And those can reduce the corruption amount as well. And they can also give you perks, which are just now you have this other layer where you get little global bonuses to various things like build speed or repair speed or fire damage or whatever. So now you've got this giant meta layer of the game where you're building towns to survive on that map, but then over time the enemies are going to become stronger unless you also spread out onto the world and build new towns and do different missions inside those towns to hold back the corruption so that it doesn't become overwhelming.
Okay, that sounds cool.
So it's a
little bit XCOM-y in a way.
Yeah. It actually kind of makes it more gamey, less because there was already a skirmish mode in the game, but that was the whole game before, where it was you just play on a map and that's it.
You play and you're done.
Yeah. So now with all this metagame stuff, the trouble with it is, of course, that is you've turned up the time investment even further.
Right. Yeah.
You're not just playing one map; now you're playing all the maps simultaneously.
Yeah. So I guess there's does that encourage you to crap out solutions faster, or rather than spend your time on it, you now have to come up with a quick way of just doing it?
I feel like it makes you less likely to invest a lot of time on one map.
Right.
If you play to the goals rather than just playing to the map.
Right.
So if a goal says make 400 axes in this map, you pretty much have to play that map to the point where you can make 400 axes. And that's it.
And then you leave it alone.
That's the investment. But
so do you return to places then? The goals are changed.
Yeah.
And then so your base that's there or whatever you've built there might no longer be all that useful.
Well, I mean, they're all going to be more or less the same at a certain point, so it's not really like you can't do all the goals everywhere if it's just a general type of goal. But it's more, when it's a town specific on that map, you're like, okay, I can just go into that map for like a day, get that goal out of the way, and then it will generate a new goal for some time else. So you're not necessarily having to focus that heavily. But then, of course, there is the ultimate goal of the ridiculous amount of time investment it would take to survive a year on every map. So if you manage to spread out from each individual map to the adjacent maps to every map on the entire world, which is like, I don't know, 25 maps probably, and then play all of those maps for a whole year of in-game time.
Which is like, what?
I don't know, quite a while. I mean, probably a day takes like 15 minutes, although that's partially because on my computer it starts slowing down significantly at night when large quantities of monsters start spawning. After the first, middle of the first year.
A day takes 15 minutes and it's asking you to play them a year. That's like over 100 hours.
It's not a 365-day year. It's like a 21-day year.
Oh, okay. So that's still a lot of time.
Yeah. But it is a town builder, so it's like you kind of expect to spend quite a long time. But the fact that it has this massive really, that goal isn't like... It's not meant to be a thing that's really achievable. It's more just like here's a
seriously 2.0.
Yeah, here's just a achievement for if you. And the fact that because of the way you play from map to map and spread out across the map, that's kind of what you do anyway. I guess
you might build up enough time in each anyway.
Yeah, you just kind of naturally, as you were playing on different maps.
Is it one of those things though that as you spread out, you don't necessarily need to pay attention to the inner ones anymore?
Well, because time doesn't pass unless you're playing the map, basically.
Okay.
So, when you're not on that map, it's just stopped.
It's not in danger.
No. Yeah. Okay. The only thing that can affect it is that global corruption level. So if you come back to a map after the corruption level in the global sense has gone up, then more enemies will spawn on that map during the night than previously.
I see. So it is like a general difficulty ramp.
Yeah.
More than a oh god, something's happened here while you're away.
Yeah, basically.
Huh. Interesting.
But yeah,
it's not quite what I had in mind. I thought when you talk about a meta game, it would be like, oh, you've gone back to this place because the situation's changed.
No, not quite.
Yeah, it's like that. I think that would have been better.
That might still happen. I guess this is only the first version of this meta game, I suppose.
That's an interesting idea, though. It's a good way of making these sort of regional mechanics make more sense, I suppose, in a game like this.
Yeah, and then the sort of major question...
what if SimCity 4 had it?
What if the regions in SimCity 4 mattered at all?
Yeah.
Not 4, 5 even. That was the one that was bad. 4 was good. Yeah, and in the developer notes for this version, or I guess before this version came out, he talked about how that maybe if you, instead of having these global perks which you get by doing the goals or whatever, there might be map specific perks. If you have this map, then it will give you a perk. So if you've built a town on that map, so that might sort of make the world map even more important, because then you're not just spreading randomly to wherever. You're like, this map actually has a perk which I could get. And then the idea that at the moment, if you fail and your town gets destroyed, that map is basically done. There's nothing you can do.
Oh, interesting. Right.
So there's the idea that maybe at some point there might be a way to recover, or maybe, and also maybe a way
one of the other towns could build something to...
Yeah, like an army or something, dispatch a force. And then also the idea that maybe there'll be a way to actually sort of undo the corruption on a per map basis. Because at the moment you can only sort of hold it. You have to let the corruption cover a certain amount of the map. You can push it back by building buildings with corruption resistance, but there's a limit to that as well. There's a permanent amount of corruption that has to exist.
Right.
So you can't actually win a map, essentially. It's always going to just be survival.
I think there was an element of... I'm just trying to think of how the meta of Massive Chalice worked. And I think there was a little bit of that with the cadence, in that it always seemed to push faster than you could deal with it.
Right.
So it was always going to be getting worse throughout the course of the game.
That was the XCOM thing as well, was it? Race against time. Whereas
Yes.
you're never going to be able to go forever. You have to
There is an end
keep
game.
up.
Well, there's a very hard time limit.
Yeah.
In Massive Chalice, I believe, as far as I remember.
So yeah, I mean, maybe that'll be the trouble. I mean, the idea of being able to get rid of the corruption is maybe that's going to have to be a different balance to the whole game, because if you could entirely secure a map and have that map be like not even difficult any longer, that would maybe make it too easy to like send stuff to the adjacent regions. Because already I have like my one main town the first map that I did, and that has already been like my base of operations to spread into the adjacent 3. But now when I'm in one of the 3 adjacent ones and I'm having to spread from there, I'm like, I'm still going to have to build this town up to a certain point, but maybe I can shuttle stuff from my original town through the second town and then on to the third town. Maybe. But that's kind of inconvenient because I guess it is sort of balanced because you still have to play a day in each of those maps, because the migrants and the like convoys that transport stuff between towns only leave once per day. So you still effectively have to play a day of the map to get those resources sent or whatever.
Right, yeah.
So you do still have to survive.
Man, I shouldn't have mentioned Massive Chalice. That was a good game.
You shouldn't have mentioned it, apparently. Why?
I don't know. It's just like, I'm having flashbacks to it now, and it's like, yeah, that was a pretty solid.
Don't know why that's a bad thing.
No, it is a good. I mean, sort of making me want to play it again. But
Well, okay, that would be the reason for it to be bad.
I
But
don't really have time to play it again. But that music has stuck with me in that game. It's all sort of orchestral and drummy pieces, but it was really well done. Yeah, sorry. Friendly reminder: play Massive Challenge. Challenge.
Massive Chalice.
Enunciate munch.
yeah. And that's more or less been it, I think. There's at least one game I kind of want to get into, but I'm still unsure about. I've been very tempted.
It's a game of 2018. That's going to come out.
Well,
I don't know if it'll come out this year. It might do,
Got to get into Game of the Year mode, man.
because it's still early access. But I've been
Untitled
kind
Goose
of
Game, obviously.
Yeah.
I've been kind of tempted to get into Oxygen Not Included, that like space
right.
game that's
Yeah.
by the people who made Don't Starve, about building an asteroid base. And I'm like, that kind of sounds cool, and it's been
Like
updated
every other game you play.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's updated recently, and so I've seen people on my friends list playing it, which is always a thing that triggers me to think about games.
Still not tempted by 2 Point Hospital then? You're waiting for patches or something?
Yeah, I've been vaguely keeping an eye on like the threads on that to see what the patches have been like. It sounds like they've definitely fixed some of the early problems, but maybe they need a second pass on like the queue situation. They tried to fix it, but it didn't really work yet.
I mean, apparently that game's just good anyway. Like,
Sure.
It doesn't need these extras to still pass that barrier.
Well, depends how good you
I know
think
how
it
fussy
is.
you are.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll hit the point where you're pressing its limits pretty quick, I'm sure. But
I'll recognise problems more than usual, maybe. But yeah, Oxygen Not Included may be happening. And also it's this annoying situation that I've seen several times on various early access games that I pay attention to, where it seems like maybe it might come out of early access quite soon, and then the price might go up.
right, yeah, one of those.
Yeah, the classic. The other major one of those I've seen very recently was RimWorld, that like the Space Dwarf Fortress game
Okay.
that I've always been thinking about getting into. And it's just like, the price might go up because it might come out. And it's like, I don't know.
Did it?
Well,
Has it?
it hasn't come out yet, so the
Okay.
price hasn't gone up yet. So who knows? But who knows how close it is?
Yeah, because I think I need to check in with it actually, because that roll cage inspired racing game called Grip,
Yeah,
that's actually supposed to come out real soon. Like come out of early access. And,
hopefully better than Formula Fusion.
oh god, I hope. And I mean that early impressions seem good. Like I think that game will be at the very least all right. But yeah, that comes out real soon, and I wonder if that'll do the same thing as well, because that was quite cheap for a while on the early access program. So I don't know if it will keep that price, or if it will suddenly bump to like £30 or something.
Well, you can always go and look at the store page and see what they say about it. Because there's that helpful section that's like, is the price going to change? And then practically everyone says yes.
Yeah, probably.
Unless you're Planetary Annihilation, where the price was ridiculous during early access and went down because they wanted because they had to honour their Kickstarter backing, which was a weird situation.
Yes, and that thing was a mess anyway, wasn't it?
Yep. I was thinking about going back to that at some point recently.
Is it still
I can't remember why.
though?
No.
Because it's the other Sumo, isn't it?
Yeah.
They
abandoned the original game to make the expansion that wasn't an expansion, it was
a whole other game, yeah.
And all that faff.
Yeah, boy, I remember
But
that.
I was thinking about playing the first one again. I think it's because for some reason that I can't determine, videos of Supreme Commander have started turning up on YouTube for me. And I'm like, what? People are playing Supreme Commander 2 in, like, actual clan matches? I'm like, why am I seeing these videos suddenly?
People falling off StarCraft and thought, Supreme Commander's actually good.
It's not, though. So, yeah. But then, of course, as soon as I think about Planetary Annihilation and, to some extent, Supreme Commander 2, it's like, I'd like to play them again, except I know they run real bad.
Yeah.
It's like, those are the kind of games that when I get a new PC, they'll be fun to go back to, where it's like, this runs so fucking well now.
Yeah, how much better will it be? Because that must be, CPU strain in those games?
I mean, practically everything I play is CPU strained at this point. I think Rise to Ruins might even be...
Oh, that would make sense, though, right?
Well, yeah, because it's not got much graphics. Maybe. I don't know. It slows down... It slows down a lot from the pathfinding lag when the monsters spawn, you can kind of tell. Because it's like, as soon as it hits night and the monsters spawn, you're like, oh, here comes the slowdown, where the monsters suddenly start having to path. But then also, it has like a lot of particle effects, for, pixel art particle effects, but it has a lot of them, and if you turn those down, it definitely runs better from that as well.
Probably just unoptimized.
Well, it's also apparently runs in Java, so...
Oh!
You know how well that went for Minecraft.
Use what you know, I suppose.
Well, that's what he did.
Yep.
And now here we are.
We have a better version of Minecraft that's not written in Java.
Yeah, but people don't play as much as the Java one.
Because of mods.
Well, I don't know if that's strictly true, though.
Well, specific types of people don't play for more reasons.
I assume these new versions actually sell pretty well.
Yeah, I was just reading some statistic about Minecraft in terms of the number of sales and the number of users, and it was like second only to Tetris in the history of video games.
Yeah. That's been true for a while.
Oh yeah, I forgot another bit of completely not really interesting news related to Minecraft that just reminded me. Because there was one of the Minecons, I think, recently. They announced a new game! Mojang actually announced a new game.
What? Scrolls?
Yeah, you'd think so, but no. It seems to be basically some kind of dungeon crawler, only in Minecraft world. So it looks quite a lot like the Minecraft adventure games with that kind of animation style.
Right, yeah.
But like some kind of dungeon crawler. That haven't shown anything about it mechanically, it's purely a
Minecraft
cinematic trailer.
We shall see.
Minecraft Mystery Dungeon? Where you're getting pigs and endermans to fight for you?
Probably not quite like that. It's probably... Well, yeah, they haven't shown enough of it. I would imagine it would be more like a... It could be more like an actual traditional dungeon crawler in almost a, grid-based move your party around style, possibly. I could see that happening.
Minecraft Tactics.
Yeah.
Diablo Minecraft.
Yeah, it could, that's the other option. It could go more like actual, just free movement, just literally third person. I guess they haven't even said whether it's third person or not.
Yeah.
It's a purely cinematic trailer at the moment, so who knows whether that will actually happen. Who knows whether that game will even come out.
Weird. Or if it would... Is it literally a separate product, or is it something they're building into Minecraft?
No, I think it's separate.
Interesting.
From what it looks like.
Because a bit of me always assumes it's like, if you're going to have a Minecraft product, you've got to make it so you could build stuff. Right, that's kind of its thing. Like, you can't just have something in Minecraft.
Yeah, but then they made the adventure game.
Yeah, that is a weird one. But you can't really do story in Minecraft without that.
It's just a weird graphic style that they can theoretically. It made it kind of squares are quite helpful for a tactics game.
True.
If it is going to be grid-based.
That's true.
Could just go straight XCOM. It's got a grid already.
I mean, they did it with Mario.
Have to fake
I'm sure they could do it with Minecraft.
I'm still surprised you never played that Mario plus Rabbids.
Who, me?
Too much money.
No, Zach. Yeah.
Zach. Yeah, they're expensive to buy Nintendo games.
Yeah. You have to be very picky about Nintendo games. That's why we didn't buy Mario Tennis.
Yeah, even though that seems good. Man, we must have been did we just get N64 games on the cheap when we were younger?
Or did we buy some of them, which was the first thing?
Well, true, parents. But did we literally pay £50 up front to get Mario Tennis then? Or
I think I must have got it as a Christmas present, so I think it must have been full price. Well, I definitely got
I don't think we bought very many of those games, really.
No, I don't think I bought any.
Or if we did, it was pocket money in terms of a game's worth of. It wasn't you had to save up. It was just here's your one treat.
I definitely bought a lot of my N64 games. I remember that much. I remember buying Rush and.
I think I.
So, in fairness, a lot of the poorer choices that I made. The N64 version of Revolt, I remember picking up.
Yeah, I mean that sort of later age, I definitely remember going into game. But games cost £30 then.
N64 didn't. N64 was 50.
But that's why I only had 2 of them.
Because cartridges. It was money. I borrowed a lot of games back then. I remember that.
Oh yeah, that helps.
Yeah,
cool.
It was just an interesting thought. It's did we really actually just go, whatever, plonk the money down for those because we weren't spending it on everything else? Because life. Choose life. Choose an N64 game.
Game of life.
Kipper's favourite game. Just because of that big spinny wheel.
Yep. That's all we need. So there's spinny wheel.
Big spinny wheel. Selling point.
In what?
The game of life.
Conway's Game of Life? No. Not that one.
No, I'm sure
Game
of Life.
Yeah.
You could probably make a big spinny wheel in Conway's Game of Life, I reckon, if you spent enough time.
Yeah, probably.
But would you have kids and then sell them off?
Whatever happens in that game.
Yeah, I forget how that game works. End up with enormous debt.
Yeah, that's pretty much. It's the very realistic Game of Life.
I mean, I think it's an outcome.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of outcomes from Conway's Game of Life, I reckon. Massive spiraling debt is probably one of them for sure.
You might have to explain to me what you mean by Conway's as opposed to the Milton Bradley.
Conway's Game of Life is it's a grid of black and white squares, right? And then there are very simple rules for how the next step is, if there's two blacks next to a white, then it does this.
Yes.
And so the rules are insanely simple, but then
there's a version of that in Super Hot.
Yeah. Depending on the initial conditions, you can make some really crazy shit happen. Even though the rules are mega, mega simple. Because you just make a grid that's infinitely wide on each side or whatever. You just start from the middle and start with your setup and then see what happens. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. It's emergent behavior from simple rules is what it's kind of demonstrating. It's pretty cool. And people coming up with... Because you can come up with new shapes in it that do things or whatever. And people have figured out various things, but you could always come up with new things. There's certain classes of things like spaceships move a certain direction or whatever. And all it is collections of black and white dot, filled in things. But the way they evolve can interact and move. Yeah, because of the simple rule of the game. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Anyway, that's the Game of Life.
What's them patterns, yo?
Yeah, indeed. So I'm still playing God of War.
Woo!
It's really, really good. Yeah.
So how's your battle with the combat going? Are you
better? Yeah, I'm better at it, although the enemies are getting harder to the point where I think I'm cheesing it a bit more than I was.
Right.
There's the occasional cheesing going on. But, I can handle big enemies and I can handle large groups of enemies now. That there is, without any spoilers, you do get more equipment, which kind of threw me for a loop because I'd only just got the hang of some of it, of the original equipment. Yeah. Anyway, but
I
that's
think that's
cool.
been said in a few places. Yeah, that your arsenal does expand.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty cool moment when it does as well. Like, and the story stuff. I mean, the story is just really well paced, and like there's always something dramatic in every part of it. I'm surprised how fresh it keeps going. Like, it's really good. It's really sort of consistent pacing. Although, unfortunately, I've just gone into a bit where the boy's gone all emo and teenagery, which is kind of annoying.
No.
I'm hoping to get out of that soon. But that's
oh my God, Dad, we have to go to like another Norse place.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna go to Disneyland. Let's go be guests in Kingdom Hearts. Come on.
Essentially, yeah. So that part's slightly annoying, but I have a sense that the game knows it's annoying and is annoying me on purpose and is going to, boy. That guy, he's really good. The performance. It's the guy from Stargate. Do you know that?
Which guy? Stargate. Oh, Teal'c. Okay, yeah.
Christopher Judge. Yeah,
he's playing the god of war.
Kratos. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and
cool.
he does a really good job. Because there's a lot of it, right? There's a lot of scenes. Yeah, so it's cool. And I'm getting into the kind of the world as well and more. Then, I said earlier, like, I wasn't sure about Midgard, but there's other realms. You do spend most of your time in Midgard, to be fair.
Okay,
I think the other realms aren't like whole other worlds the same size as the existing world. They're more like
subzones.
They're subzones, yeah, exactly. But they are cool because they have a totally different aesthetic from each other and from the. But yeah, it does turn out that two of them are like. One of them is the challenge. The combat challenge world.
Sort of.
Yeah, the arena world, which I was excited about. And then I got, and then I did the first fight. And then the second one, was my least favorite kind of enemies. And, which are like, I don't like fast wolves or like things that burrow underground and attack, like animals that just run at you rather than like people that fight. Do you know what I mean? Or they come biting at you or something.
You don't like effectively like a berserker charge.
Yeah, berserker. When there's a pack of berserker charging me, I find that quite annoying. I think the new equipment will help me deal with that. Well, I don't mind. It's just, I don't know. It's something about that kind of attack is troubling in this game, at least with the initial equipment. But the new equipment might help with that, I think. So I have to go back. But the challenge was not just kill them all, which would be fine, but it was if you kill one, it will respawn within 10 seconds. So you have to kill them all at once.
Wow.
You can't pick them off.
Yeah, I find those mildly annoying because it's not a really.
That one's a bastard. And so I'm gonna have to come back to that one.
I think I came across a few of those in like maybe it might have been one of the Bayonettas where it's just like because you have to. It's probably a good idea to whittle everyone's health down and then go on.
But that's quite difficult.
But that's and it's not really what the game's really about.
No, it's not.
And it's like, it's a challenge, but it's not exactly in the spirit of what you're doing.
Of the game, maybe. I mean, it's kind of cool, but I'll have to come back to that one. But I think there are other arenas that I can go to without having to do that one. I don't think it's a linear sequence. I think I can look out different arenas and stuff, so that level up. So I'll go back to that one, but I'm mainly doing there's enough to do in terms of the actual main story plus the side stuff around the lake. So yeah, going through a bunch of that. Freed another dragon. That was cool. It's really good. It's really high quality. Like, and it's quite twisty. A lot in the story and stuff. There's always kind of new stuff happening, which is pretty. It's
interesting to hear because it seems like week on week you're getting more and more positive on it.
Yeah, I like it more and more. But I mean, it was frustrating at first. But that's inevitable. That like the more depth the combat has, the more satisfying it's going to be in the end, but the more harder it's going to be to learn. And I don't think they did the best job teaching me how to do it. They kind of just throw you in the deep end, especially because you're super weak at first. So I think even though the quality of the game and stuff and the writing and the missions and stuff is consistent all the way through, like it doesn't do for me that good a job of like letting me practice on it at first. But anyway, once you get past that barrier, then it's definitely cool. Yeah, because it's like a double whammy of like getting good with the basics, but also then remembering all the freaking billion things you can do once you level up. So now I have so many different, like, I've got like 3 different magic attacks that I have to remember to use, and then all the different combos. And then I've even got a thing now where if I do an attack and then pause for a second, he goes into a different stance, and that enables a different combo of attacks. So you have to remember to like.
Those are always interesting. Like, I think that there's quite a few. Quite a few of the older sort of style, the more traditional style character action games. They almost did that. Almost all of them have some sort of combo where there's not necessarily a full-on stance, but where there's a pause in the sequence you're supposed to type in. So you can't just mash out the combo. You're supposed to be ding ding, and then the timing of the next press is what causes the sequence to change.
Which is cool. Yeah. So I'm definitely still not getting the most out of the combat system, but I'm experienced enough that I can deal with the enemies and have fun doing it.
I mean, it's great that there's that much to it, really.
I'll be interested to see when you play it how much you think there is to it versus other games in the genre that you're more used to. But to me, it seems like there's a lot to it. There's definitely a lot to it versus like Batman combat or something I'm more used to.
Sure. Because I was about to say, because like Batman, like by the time you get to the end of those, right, you've got quite a lot of gadgets and quite a lot of button combos to remember, and you've got that achievement to gun for where you use them all in a single combo.
Well, the thing I forgot until you mentioned the Spider-Man is that what it doesn't have is a combo or a specific combo system where you're racking them up and then it drops. Right, I mean, it has like combos like a fighting game, but it doesn't have like a combo meter or anything.
Right. Yeah, you're not specifically like, as long as you don't get hit and as long as you're stringing everything together.
Yeah. It does. You do build up the rage meter or whatever, but that's just I think that's like a limit break type thing.
That just stays up.
It just stays up. It doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
I'm so angry.
But that is quite useful because it took me a while to realize, but the key thing with the Spartan Rage beating the shit out of everyone is you actually gain health as you hurt people in that mode.
Oh, nice.
So when you're about to die, it's quite good. Yeah,
that's cool. It's a good idea. I think there's some stuff in Spider-Man that I used for the similar effect. Like one of the first suit ability you get is you can pop it when your meter when one of your suit meter fills, which is just on a timer.
Right.
You can pop it to like gain focus real fast. So it's like, if you're in trouble, pop that.
Yep.
Wait for your focus meter to fill pretty quickly, and then just pop some heals. It's like, oh, there we go. I'm back in this.
Pop those heals.
Yeah.
No, I'm extremely positive on God of War. I mean, it's definitely there's some good games this year, so it's going to be an interesting game of the year. I mean,
we've none of us have really played the same stuff. Which is going to be an interesting conversation.
I'm still pretty sure, obviously, Red Dead is my kind of game and it's going to be amazing, but we shall see. But God of War, considering it's not really my thing necessarily, has really... I mean, it's just so high quality. It's like AAA all the way.
Sure. I'm
with a good story. Yeah.
I'm definitely having that feeling about Spider-Man at the moment. And it's just... normally I think by this time of the year, I've got a pretty good feeling about what games I'm up on, what games I'm sort of coming in going. I would have played something earlier in the year where I just go, yes, this is this is a candidate. I'm at the point where it's like I'm actually struggling to think at the moment. Like,
well, we haven't really
what real candidacy is there? Like, it's like, I don't know. Spider-Man is great, but I'm not sure I haven't yet found that game that blows my socks off this year.
Well, it's coming.
I'm just in awe of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think God of War stands a chance, and then there's always Red Dead. And do we have an indie candidate? We've got Into the Breach, haven't we?
Which I still haven't played, but you two are big on.
It's pretty good. But
Yuku's Island Express.
Yeah, we shall see.
Right, I think Factorio like this year.
There you go. And then it's automatic winner.
Probably not by the looks of it at this point.
Classic thing I forgot to talk about.
Yeah, I know.
Soul Calibur VI. That they ran a beta weekend last weekend, and I played it on both Xbox because that was the only way to play it for a while. Because the PlayStation version,
the only way you could get it to work.
Yeah, the PlayStation version was busted for a while. I played it on both regular Xbox One and PS4 Pro. And my takeaway is that game's good. Like in general, like the fighting is satisfying as it's ever been. It feels nice. It feels like there's less of the nonsense that Soul Calibur has had. Like,
it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good, because what you want from Soul Calibur is actually peripheral mode.
The single player stuff, yes. So that there is promise in what the so that if the core fighting is good, that's a given. Like, it was good in Soul Calibur 5. You know, they've done this stuff before. They've clearly done this before. You know, where my satisfaction will lie is whether I forget which one it is, but there's one of the story modes is basically you create a character and then you do like a sort of challenge tree almost, and there's which was the best part of Soul Calibur 2.
Yeah.
And like it seems like that stuff is mostly returned. There's not a huge amount of detail floating around about that. I mean, they've talked about it and said that it's a bit like that, but I want to kind of see it in action. But anyway, yeah, from a purely fighting standpoint, I had a lot of fun with it. I really did. And it's like, it became one of those one more game scenarios for a long time where it's like, yes, it took, like, matching on PS4 took a lot longer than it did on Xbox. But I ended up playing the PS4 version just because it looks a hell of a lot better on a Pro than it does on the Xbone. Visually, and but it plays the same on both. I just had a great time. Again, it just highlighted that super annoying thing about Tira, though, because Tira was in the beta. She's fully playable and great fun. There's no reason for her to be a bloody pre-ordered DLC character. It's just it just cements that with me that's hyper irritating. Because she's still great. She's just one of the most interesting characters in the game, for sure. It's a shame she's locked behind. Also, Nightmare and Siegfried are still cheap as, but you know, whatever. That's Soul Calibur. They've at least said Raphael's coming back though now.
Oh, good.
He wasn't in the beta, but he will make the roster.
But who's going to be the weird character? Are we going to get one this generation?
Yeah, I don't think. Well, they've got a couple of new characters. I haven't looked into what they're like.
I mean new characters. I mean weird characters.
To get the crazy guest.
Did we go to get?
Geralt's the guest so far.
I guess.
Yeah. Although he didn't play all that weirdly. I didn't like. If anything, he's the character I liked the least to play as. I didn't really. He didn't feel very good to me. I saw a few people playing as him, like. I fought against him a few times, but playing as him, I didn't really like him. Anyway.
But did he have weird shit? That's the question.
He threw fire at one point from a triangle.
That's relatively weird.
Yeah, I don't know if there was anything like super odd necessarily, like comedy. I mean, Boldo's still there. He's the comedy, right? Still rolling around the floor like a donut.
Good old Boldo.
Anyway, I think it's worth being hopeful for that, but you know, it's going to be a pricey game if you want Tira.
That's all you want.
Yeah, it's like I bet you probably can't even just use create a character to make a Tira.
Yeah, because that title it's really the weapon that's locked, not the character.
The fighting style will be locked behind the paywall. Yeah, so I don't know. I probably won't go in on it.
I mean, what you want is what they did for some of the previous fighting games, I forget which one specifically, where they basically make an incredibly light, bare-bones base game and sell all the characters individually.
Right.
So you can just pick which ones you want.
Yeah.
But if more likely, this game's just going to be full price and then DLC.
Yeah, like the Killer Instinct model, like start with a £15 starter pack or something that gives you a few fighters to get going with and learn the ropes, and then if you want to do some of the more crazy stuff, buy into them, or did what I did and just wait for, because they went on sale a lot on it. The Killer Instinct stuff went on sale a lot, and I have most of the characters now because they were just occasionally like 80p, and it's like, oh, I'll have that for 80p. I'm probably never going to use them, but it's nice to know I could. Although I never got the Battletoad.
Oh.
Although if you have Game Pass, you have it all anyway. So, you know.
Haven't heard anything about that game again yet.
What, Killer Instincts?
No, new Battletoads.
Oh, new Battletoads, yeah. So I don't reckon we'll hear for that until E3. Yeah.
Great.
Pretty weird.
Anyway, what we've learned today is Sony is killing it.
Sony
Right
is
now.
killing it. And that is a podcast.
Although people like Forza Horizon 4. Apparently that's very, very good.
Yeah.
I haven't quite figured out what's new about it, that apart from the seasons thing, obviously, but like, what is it about this game that sets it apart from 3 enough? It's like, I might just, like in December or something, like bang a quick month of Game Pass so I can play it and see if I can spot it, but...
The easy solution.
Yeah. Just put £9 down, as it is. Or it might be £8, I can't even remember. But, like, yeah. It's not much, really. Like, play Forza for probably as long as I would care to play it. Yeah. If I don't get sucked into the achievement trap like I do.
Yeah.
If I just want to do some journalism. That's a podcast. Sorry, I had a thing I forgot.
It is. And there are videos going up on our YouTube channel.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. I'm not going to tell you what the next one is, but all I will say is, I think you'll approve.
Yeah.
Who? Me? Or the listener?
Specifically you.
Me?
The audience. They're clearly going to love it.
Yeah.
Is it a game I like?
Our incredibly variable
weird.
audience who like New York Race and Opus Magnum.
Two very similar games.
And Dr. Ado's mad catchphrase. Just anything that no one else played is
that's how you succeed in YouTube.
Exactly. Okay. Well, I hope you have something good. I look forward to it. Okay, everyone check that out. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks for another Saladcast.
Yes.
Bye.